Well, you can share this too as well on Facebook
Okay.
to your pages.
No doubt.
I'm gonna go ahead and do this here the same on our end.
There we go.
What you got?
It just came up.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I said we are not muted.
Apologies for that. Bonaparte, I apologize. I apologize. I'm gonna tell you what I did here in a second.
Shout out to Bonaparte though.
I'll tell you what I did here in a second. I actually had part of that video muted. Because sitting there listening to them, always on this how the show works behind the scenes. I make sure the volume's being played through the phone too as well. That way I know everything's working. Everything's good. You see that? See that bar moving? Don't look confused like that, Deb. You see that bar moving right there?
I know what you're talking about. Figure out how you managed to mistakenly mute the music. Like,
I don't know. Who was sitting in this chair last?
you.
Impossible.
So you being on my show, we're not gonna have any music when y'all at this time.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Come on.
We're good. We're good.
All right.
We're good. I promise.
Right.
Everything's fixed. Leftwich, what kind of show is this? Hey, look, man. Look, it's the first time for everything. All right. I don't know. I'm sitting there like, where's my go-go inspired beat at?
I know. Where's the hometown sauce at, baby?
Hometown heroes.
Yeah.
You
Putting on Bonaparte and the people can't even hear him. Hear that goodness.
I'm gonna blame Troy Berry for that one.
Oh, yes.
Here we go. Here we go.
I like that.
No, but let's get into it. Obviously, we have Derek Larsen here with us tonight. Round of applause for Mr. Larsen. Absolutely.
Thank you.
We got people weighing in too as well. Derek Terry cutting grass but listening. Hey, you text me, cut your grass, Pascal. How you doing too as well? Little joke, get him off guard. Dev, how the week been?
Solid. Holiday weekend. We had good little time off, little break after crashing out. Knocking out 3
and 4 days.
3 and 4 days.
You could even 4 and 6 if we count Zach
I'm about to
Ball.
say really.
Or like 4 and 6, 7. Yeah, so we deserve that week off.
So that was much needed rest. The holiday weekend was a tremendous success for me. Did a lot of traveling, a lot of separate cookouts, and little plates to gather here and there.
Yeah.
And then back to work. What's that, Tuesday? And today, first day in the office. I tell you, you get spoiled when you've been out of work for a while, man. You gotta go back in the office.
We need a little. Hey, they say you need some R&R from the R&R. Yeah. Myself, we had a couple games this weekend, cookouts, pool time. So can't complain. Derek, how's your weekend?
Busy.
Facts.
Out in the street, meeting people, shaking hands. Never stops. Got to get the word out. It's campaign season.
Hey, come on now. That's
we in the fourth quarter.
Hey, look, home stretch right now.
Yeah,
no days off.
No days off, no holidays, none of that.
Yeah, there we go.
Potato salad with raisins. First of all, potato salad in general is gross, Mike. Damn sure ain't gonna eat any with some raisins in it.
Oh no.
Hey,
starting out already.
What is it? It's not even 8:30 yet. Oh man.
And you let the show warm up first before you start.
Come on now. I love it. AJ, good luck to all the candidates. Absolutely. So
Thank you.
Of course.
With if you without further ado, before we actually get started, Dev would like to do a little housekeeping too with the podcast.
Okay.
So Dev, please go ahead and do a little cleanup for us.
Absolutely. What if you guys are watchers of the show, long time watchers, fans, we appreciate that. If you all are new, then this would be new to you. So we like to start out the show with just asking everyone out there in YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, and all the streaming platforms to give us a little love, a little Showtime love. And if you don't know what the Showtime love is, it's very simple. I'm going to break it down to you. It's 2 parts to it. Show. You like the show, love the show, hate the show, watch the show, don't like the show. Take the time out to like, share, subscribe, comment, whether it's in support or you're a detractor. Let us know how you feel about us. Get the word out there. And the way that we grow this show is simply by you all's contributions and comments and letting us know what we can do better and what we're doing well. So if you like the show, love the show, hate the show, take that time out to let us know how you feel about it.
And like we always say, too, as well, you're watching right now, go ahead and hit us with a share. Mr. Leftwich, thank you for the share, too, as well. Round of applause for you, sir. Everyone else that shared the podcast, thank you very much. So that helps us grow. We're not sitting there beating down, pay us $5 to have a comment read. This is for the community, by the community. We're going to keep grinding, keep working. So with all that being said, too, as well, Derek Larsen.
Sir.
I want to thank you for a couple things first. I originally supposed to do this podcast on June 8th, but you were flexible enough to move it to the 1st. So
Not a problem.
Yep, thank you for that. Also, let's start from the top. Let's get some background. Who is Derek Larsen?
Well, I'm a native Washingtonian. I've been a resident of Charles County for 17 years. My wife and I moved down here for a better way of life. We wanted good schools, less crime. I'm a 30-year veteran of the D.C. Police Department. I started when I was 21 years old, and rose through the ranks officer. Started March of '89. That was back when D.C. was the murder capital of the world. I worked at the 7th District, which is in Southeast D.C. I did my first 10 years there as a patrol officer. Went through the ranks and made sergeant. For about 7 years, I was a lieutenant in charge of a criminal investigation division at the 5th District. Then I worked in school safety division for another 4. And I then got promoted to captain. I was the assistant district commander of the 4th District substation. Retired from there. I came back in August of 2019 as a contractor. And I worked at the Youth and Family Services Division for 2 years. August of last year, I resigned from the police department as a contractor to run for Charles County Sheriff. This past 17 years I've lived here, I've noticed an increase in crime. And towards the end of my career, people were coming to me and they were asking me, like, why don't you consider running for sheriff? We see increase in crime. We don't like the way things are going in the county. We don't see the police in our neighborhoods. There's a lack of diversity on the sheriff's department. And this is coming from citizens. This is coming from business owners. And shockingly, this is coming from members of the sheriff's office, the actual office. People were coming to me. So, I did my research and I started, just talking to folks. And I decided that what I learned in D.C. over those 30 years of my experience in patrol, detective work, and dealing with the youth, that I could bring some change to the Charles County Sheriff's Office, which is much needed. It's much needed.
So 30 years, first of all, 30 years, obviously, Dev, 12 years, military, myself, 11 years, so service.
Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service.
Likewise, too. Service is something that we definitely respect here, whether firemen, firefighters, police work, military, so anything that you definitely put your life on the line.
Shout out to my sons in the Air Force, Staff Sergeant.
Hey, there it is too as well. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So 30 years DC. Did you ever consider so I guess my question is that, did you ever consider working for Charles County Police Department? Or is it more so the reason why you stuck with DC? Instead of actually being a part of. I was
a native Washingtonian. That was my hometown. And when I started, I was I just turned 21. I was still living at home, and it just was a career. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed what I was doing. I enjoyed the people I was working with. I actually met my wife on the job. Working in the 7th District. So I met some beautiful people up there in Washington, and I liked the changes I was making in the neighborhoods I was working in. I could see progression. I could see change, and I enjoyed it. I found it fulfilling. So, no, actually, when I retired, I never thought I was going to work again. I planned to move to Florida and do nothing, But, retiring at 50 years of age, I still had a lot more gas in the tank, and seeing the changes that were needed in my new home, which is now Charles County, I wanted to put those tools to use. I wanted to help my community. And I just feel that it would be a waste for me to sit home and do nothing but complain. And a lot of people are good at that. They just blog and they send out, social media and complain about things. I want to do something. I want to make a change in my community. So that's why I'm running for Charles County Sheriff.
What type of cop do you consider yourself to be? Like super involved in the community, walking around, everybody knows your name, or? I
was really into community policing. Actually, I was one of the very first community police officers that Chief Fullwood started in 1990 when he became chief. And my footbeat was the 27 to the 2900 block of Martin Luther King Avenue, which is heavily drug infested at the time.
Okay, come on.
A lot of things going on, and I got to know the store owners, and it got to the point which I got to know everybody on the beat. I got to know, St. Elizabeth's is on that same block, and a lot of what happened is they had a homeless shelter there, and a lot of the folks would just be let out on the street. They had to leave the shelter during the daytime, so they're out there. They have mental health issues. They have problems with alcohol and drugs and things like that. I got to know them as well. and it was really fulfilling. It was really fulfilling. I enjoyed what I did. I felt that it made a difference. The store owners got to know me. The people in the neighborhood and the community got to know me, and it was a very enjoyable. It was enjoyable. It was rough. It was rough.
You feel like being a Washingtonian helped you in your approach in policing the communities?
Absolutely.
Like being from the community.
I have a stake in the community.
Right.
And that's an issue that I find with the Charles County Sheriff's Office. Over 50% of the officers that work for the Charles County Sheriff's Office don't live in the county. And that's something I'd like to work on, giving it an incentive. And don't get me wrong, I can understand, because if you look at Charles County, you look at St. Mary's, you look at Calvert, and you look at King George, Charles County is the most expensive county in that region to live in. So it's kind of it's a finance thing, And I'd like to see some incentives being put forth. I'd like to work with the county commissioners to just give an incentive for officers to want to live and work in Charles County, because it's your community. You're going to care more. You have a stake in the community. So that's what I would like to see.
Yeah, and I'm gonna get some of these comments here in a second too as well. But I'm very big on cops living amongst us too as well in the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. You see the people, you're interacting with the people. You're always around everybody too as well.
Right.
And it's just good to have somebody that is on the right side of the law that you can call and trust.
Right.
And they can actually get the job done that you need. Let's get to some of these comments too as well. All right, Leftwich, I see your comment there too as well. We're gonna come back to that one as far as changes we'll bring. We're going to this platform. We're still building on the podcast, but your question is coming back to it. August McKenzie. Oh, August, what's going on with you? How you doing? Running for District 2 Commissioner. Absolutely, police should be in place. Police should police in a place where they are familiar with the people in the community and the demographics. Yeah, I think that that's really how you build a strong community. So when you have people from the community,
Absolutely.
like you said, well, you're a Washingtonian. That's why you stuck with D.C. for so long.
Right.
Pascal, we continue to recruit from outside of our community. What's your thoughts on that? Recruiting cops from outside the community to come work in Charles County.
I personally, as a sheriff, want the most talented individuals to come to work for the sheriff's office, but I would not only say we're going to just recruit within Charles County. That's going to sell ourselves short. Okay, we should be able to be willing to see what skill set people bring to the agency. So you want to look outside if possible. But here's the thing. Every police department in the region is scouring for the same candidates, right? And everybody is competing for candidates to join the police department. So they're all offering different incentives. Nobody should just say, I just want Charles County residents to be Charles County police officers in any jurisdiction, because you're going to sell yourself short. You really will. You should be open to people coming from different areas, different communities.
And you're looking to, I don't want to take the words from your mouth, but you'd be looking to incentivize cops that live in the county,
yes. So, I mean, it was something I had to work with the county commissioners with, whether it would be
like a housing stipend or something.
Something, tax incentive, if they could do that, for home ownership, assisting with maybe free tuition, for taking classes, or even a pay raise, slight jump in pay for Charles County residents. I would have to sit down and see what's feasible with the county commissioners. That's nothing that I could offer as the sheriff per se, but as far as working with the county commissioners, because you want to attract people to the sheriff's office, give them a reason to want to be here. Because like I say, this is the most expensive county in the region. If you want to keep officers here, I think the starting pay is like $56, $57 for
like
Charles
a teacher.
County. Well, they're about the same,
Yeah.
and teachers are having the same problem. They're living out as well. You have teachers that have roommates, to work here in Charles County, and as you get older, you want your own.
Yeah. Is the same thing with cops as far as roommates and all that?
It's pretty much, yeah, but the cops, most of them just don't live in the county. We have 41, either 40 or 41 Charles County Sheriff's Office that live in King George County. Now, the problem with that is, they have to take home cars. So they're paying the gas, the tolls to go across a nice bridge, wear and tear in the vehicles, and those cars are sitting out in King George County protecting their neighborhoods, when they could be in our own community.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, that's the very presence of a cop car.
You see one in the driveway, you're a little bit more cautious.
You don't care what jurisdiction it's from.
Yeah,
they just see the police car, that dude got a gun, I'm not going over there. You know what I mean? That's what they do.
Come on now. That's a billboard. Let's get to some of these comments. Just one, and then Dev, I'm going to pass it over to you. So, Derek Terry's here, and I want to clear something up on the podcast too as well. And if you could, Derek, I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
You were supposed to do a debate with Troy Berry,
Right.
and there's some behind the scenes things, and the debate didn't happen.
Right.
Now I understand the debate's back on.
Well, the debate is back on for the FOP.
Okay, so what happened with Derek Terry?
With Derek Terry, I originally had agreed to do a debate with Sheriff Berry with Derek Terry's organization, and we decided to go ahead and have the debate, but the sheriff was not available. So Ed Holland, who is the vice president, who was my wife, who's my campaign manager, was talking with Ed Holland. Ed Holland said, well, since the sheriff is not available, Mr. Terry feels that we should not have the debate. So it was put on hold. Then during the judges' debate, we had Derek made the announcement that I agreed to do the debate. Well, for whatever reason, people just started emailing me and calling me and texting me and saying that you should not do the debate because Derek Terry is a personal friend of Troy Berry. Now, let me say this. I don't know Derek Terry. All right. I've met Derek Terry maybe 2 times at community events. Our conversations might have lasted all of 60 seconds. I have no opinion of Derek Terry. But Derek Terry, everyone felt that I should ask for another moderator, which I did. Derek Terry said, no, we're not going to have another moderator. Mm-hmm. So I said, well, I just feel it's the best interest of the campaign. I discussed it with my people. Mm-hmm. I did my due diligence, and Troy Berry and Derek Terry are friends, and I decided not to do the debate if we can't have another moderator. And that's the end of it. Okay. And I just feel it's the best interest of my campaign not to do it. It's not saying anything bad negative about Mr. Terry at all whatsoever. It was just under consideration with my campaign people. We decided not to do it if we can't have another moderator.
Okay.
That's it. That is it.
I know Derek Terry wants to call in here too as well.
That's fine.
You want to talk to him?
Sure.
All right. All right. This is how this conversation is going to go. Derek, I got your number. Give me a second. We're going to call. We're going to have a conversation. Let's keep it decent, and we just go from there. I know, I know Derek. Derek's a very, very passionate individual too as well. So, and I know both of you talking to you. So, I'll say you're both pretty upstanding individuals. All right. So you're gonna have no headphones on. I'm gonna put on speakerphone. I'm gonna let Derek talking to my microphone too as well.
You're not connected to the roadcaster?
Was that? It doesn't matter because I'll have to. He needs a pair of headphones. I got a cord long enough for that one.
You got a cord? Okay.
Yeah. So now I'll just put on speaker. It'll go in here. Everybody be able to hear it.
All right.
Yeah. That's a little behind the scenes production for y'all too as well. Shout out to doing this on the spot. Hey, what's going on? Hey, you got Facebook down in the back? Yeah, sounds like there's a little feedback there. All right, we're good to go. Yeah. All right, I got Derek Larsen here. Derek, I'm going to put you on too as well. Appreciate on the fly coordination. Come on now, that's what we do here at BNY. Maybe put you on speaker. Let's go from there. Oh well, hold on one second, Derek. Hold on one second. That phone locked up crazy. All right, Derek, go ahead and do a quick audio check for us.
Check 1, check 2,
all right,
check 3.
All right, Derek, can you hear him?
Yep.
Yeah, I hear you.
All right, Facebook, can you hear Derek Terry too as well?
Somebody let us know. Pascal, I know you in there listening. Let us know if you can hear Derek on the phone.
Go ahead, Derek, talk again.
Check 1, check 2, check 3.
Good to go. Mike said they're good to go.
All right, Derek, it's all yours. Go ahead and talk.
All right, so, one, hello to everyone. Hello, Mr. Larsen.
How you doing?
One thing that I want to address, and I addressed it, that I don't like having my integrity questioned. And I didn't serve 28 years and go overseas to fight to come back and have somebody question my integrity. Every form of debate that I've done has been fair. I don't know what people told you that just because I'm friends, I would all of a sudden go into dirty politics. That's not my style. That's not my MO. Anybody who knows me. You and I first met at Westlake at the men's group. We talked probably about 5, 6, 7 minutes, something like that. And then you reminded me when I met you where we met at. So I don't know where the 60 seconds comes from, but at any rate, that's where we met. And all I will say is that the questions that you were going to get, were coming from the public and from your platform. I've never, ever done a got you form. So in my mind, and just my personal opinion, if you want to be tough on crime, I find it very difficult because now you don't want to have a debate with someone you're running against because we're friends. I'm friends with a lot of politicians, but I can tell you one thing. I don't agree 100% with them. Never have, never will. I don't even agree 100% with my wife. So I don't understand where you got that from. And you're running politics 101. You don't shy away from debate and free publicity. I don't know what you were scared of. I have no idea. But in my honest opinion, you should have did the debate, because if my debate would have at least been fair than what you're going to get at the FOP. That I can guarantee you.
Well, Mr. Terry, let me say this. If you wanted to get the word out to the citizens, you shouldn't have had a problem with having another moderator. I didn't say I wouldn't do the debate. I asked for another moderator. I'm sorry you feel that way. But,
Why? Why?
I'm sorry
you getting the questions were coming from the community and your platform.
Well,
So unless you couldn't defend your platform, or you didn't want to hear any questions from the community, which I've known you've cut off some people because you didn't like what they said, that's on you. That's not on me.
Now,
I'm not running for office. You are.
Well, exactly. And you're not running for office. So the time I'm spending here talking to you, I could be talking with the citizens that have other questions. We're talking about a debate. Why don't you ask me about some of my ideas that I have for the sheriff's office? We're talking about a debate which is coming, didn't happen. That's over now. Let's move on to the issues we have.
No, that's what you assumed. You have the format. So, and Ricky, I don't want to take up a lot of time in your show, but all I'm saying is that I find it ironic that you want to be tough on crime and all this other stuff, but yet you scared of some. I don't even make money for this. I have no gain in this. It was just to simply inform the community, and you chose. My way. You chose the route because you had some people say don't do it. I know who these people are. Believe me, I know who they are. Your Deborah Davises, your Edith Pattersons. I know who told you, but that's cool. But guess what? Regardless of what it is, the voters have to make a decision. If they like you, they'll vote for you. If they don't, they won't. It's just that simple. I just wanted to give people an opportunity to hear your format, to hear Sheriff's format, because one, you debate when things are falsely said. So if you said something false, he has an opportunity to debate it, to confront it. Same with him. If he said something false about you, you would have an opportunity to say it. You chose the easy route.
Well,
so it is what it is.
Derek, that's your opinion.
Here.
Yeah, that's your opinion, Derek. Like I said, we're sitting back, going back and forth about a debate, which didn't happen, and we're going to have a debate on the 7th at the FOP. I'm talking about my platform tonight. I talked about my platform last night, so we're putting it out there. And as far as people on my page, I'm not going to deal with people trolling my page. That's not going to happen. That's not what my campaign page is for. All right, it's to get the information out to the citizens.
If you can't take criticism, you shouldn't be sheriff.
I have no problem with taking criticism. That's what the job is all about. That's what it's all about. But I'm not going to sit up here and discuss a debate with you that is not going to happen. That's over and done with. We should move on. And let's let the voters decide who they want to be the next sheriff.
It's an interesting conversation. Hey, that's live here. So
yeah, that's what it's all about.
So obviously, Derek wasn't happy that he didn't do the debate.
And all Derek had to do was say, let's hit the moderator, and it would have gone on with the veterans, Charles County. It would have gone on as long. But that's neither here nor there. I really just want to hear from the people what their questions are and keep it moving. I am not. Let me just say this. A lot of folks that have sat in this chair have been career politicians. Mm-hmm. Right? They have ran for office many times. I'm not a career politician. I'm not a politician at all. I'm a retired law enforcement officer that lives in Charles County that wants to help serve the community. This is no stepping stone for me. I have no intentions on running for any, state delegate or county commissioners or anything like that. I plan to do this job, and as long as the citizens will have me, or as long as I'm physically able to do it. And there's no agenda. There's no hidden agenda in this. I just want to help this county and what's going on. And things are going in the wrong direction, and a lot of people are concerned about it, and I'm one of them.
Let's get to some of these comments real quick. The FOP debate, that is open to the community.
Yes.
Where's that going to be at?
At the lodge, FOP Lodge.
FOP Lodge. What day, what time?
That's going to be June the 7th at 6 p.m.
June 7th, 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Dev, any
It's
thoughts?
Lodge 24, it's called, I believe it is.
Lodge 24. I'm going to get too wrapped up in all this too as well. But any thoughts on Derek Terry, his whole position?
Honestly, my honest opinion is I respect your concern. And I'll say that is not to call into question Derek Terry whatsoever.
Right.
He comes on the show all the time.
All the
He's a
time.
regular contributor. I have no reason to question his integrity, but I think just on a surface level, you're running a campaign. The optics of the friendship would be concerning to just about anyone. I don't think it's a you thing. I think it's anyone. If you're coming on someone's show that you know is a friend of the moderator, I don't care what your play. You could be running for Krispy Kreme president. Like, you would be like, y'all are friends. So it doesn't really matter what your position, what you're running for. So I do understand that sentiment. But again, to his point, sometimes, there are those situations where it may seem a little bit more difficult that people will expect you to kind of push through,
Right.
As the future or potential, sheriff of this county. So I do get that side of it,
Right.
where like people will expect you not to shy away from a tough fight or
See how you handle pressure.
yeah. So I do get that, but honestly, it's just two sides of
It's two sides, and the debate could have
Exactly.
gone on if we just switched moderators.
Yeah,
the debate
see.
would have still gone on, so. But that's
I
the
get it.
I'm kind of past that. You know what I mean? It's just that whole debate issue with Derek Terry is in my rearview mirror. I'm just trying to move forward, and deal with the issues that we have in this county.
Yeah.
And some of the issues in this county are much more important than Derek Terry. Trust me.
And this is the last thing I say with this too as well. I've talked to Derek Terry many times on the phone. Upstanding dude. I never known him or heard anything as far as anything, any nonsense
bad
when it comes to.
integrity or
Yeah, for sure. So
Yeah,
obviously, both you agree to disagree.
Yeah.
You had a conversation out. I'm pretty sure there'll be more coming from that too as well, on
Hey,
a
you
different
know what?
platform. But
You know what? It's passion on both sides. I could appreciate both sides. The passion is there for the community. At the end of it, that's what I got from that conversation. At the end of the day, both sides are passionate, and the right thing will be done at the end of the day. And you move on. You
At
pick
the end
up
of the
and you
day, the
move on.
citizens will decide. They
Yeah,
will
like
decide.
you said, yeah, exactly.
And that's just what I want to do. I just want to put the word out there, answer questions, and let the citizens decide.
Yeah.
let's go. So I want to get back to originally. This was Derek's question too as well. I'm gonna go back down the line, everybody. You do know SROs, National Night Out, Neighborhood Watch, Police Citizens Academy, Bicycle Patrol is community policing. Are you looking to expand more on that as far as community policing, or do you want to see more of that?
Well, the community policing aspect is this. The sheriff's office right now, the officers are bogged down with administrative duties they have to do. They do the job of three people. They do the job of a patrol officer, they do the job of a crime scene technician, and they do the job of a detective. And that does not give them a lot of time to go into the neighborhoods and actually interact with the citizens, interact with the public. Yes, you have National Night Out, you have the SROs, you have different programs, but community policing is not just a specialized unit. Community policing is a style of policing in which the officers go out into the neighborhoods and they develop relationships with the citizens and they discuss issues in the community and they exchange information. It's not a unit. Now, right now, the Charles County Sheriff's Office has plenty of units to go out there and dress up as McGruff the crime dog and make people feel all warm and fuzzy and give kids popcorn and show them a little fancy police equipment that they have. But every member of the Charles County Sheriff's Office who wears that uniform should be involved in community policing. That's going out into the neighborhoods. There should be monthly community meetings which are held with the district commanders, and they can go to the meetings, so they could go online and go on Zoom calls now we have, and just find out what's going on in the neighborhood. We need to develop, right now I can tell you, the number one complaint I get from citizens is they do not see the officers in the neighborhood patrolling. They just don't see them. And this is no fault of the men and women of the sheriff's office. They're overburdened with administrative tasks. They cannot play the role of detective and crime scene technician and patrol officer. Some of that needs to be taken off of their plate so they can have the time to go into the neighborhoods and patrol. That's when I say the tactics of the Charles County Sheriff's Office are antiquated. When you have 166,000 residents, all right, and they're covering 640-something square miles, you need your patrol officers to patrol. You have divisions in the sheriff's office. You have the patrol division. Those are the ones that should be in the neighborhood trying to deter crime, speaking with the citizens. You have the criminal investigation division. Those are your detectives. Those should be the ones that are doing the follow-ups on the crimes, not the patrol officers. And you have a forensic science division who should be the ones dealing with the fingerprints, collecting evidence, things like that. Right now, the patrol officer does it all. And it's a burden on them, and they're worn down. The morale on the sheriff's department is bad because they're using an antiquated style of policing. That may have worked when we had 66,000 residents, but now that we have 166,000, they're talking about bringing light rail to this county, which is going to bring even more people down here to live. You're talking about a tech corridor in Indian Head off of 210, which is going to attract businesses down here. We can't do things the way we did 30 years ago. We have to move forward. And right now, the sheriff's office is stagnant. They're stuck in the past. That's why the crime level is the way it is.
Question from Sabrina Leftwich. Any relation to Michael Leftwich? How do you plan to get the police in the community if they are overburdened?
Well, I'm going to relieve them of some of their duties. Like I said, patrol officers should not be doing follow-up investigations on criminal offenses. That should be left to the detectives, okay? A patrol officer should not have to worry about entering fingerprints in the system and recovering evidence. That should be left to the forensic science division. So a patrol officer does all three of these jobs. They have no time to get into the community. You have to afford them the time to be able to do the job, and right now they just don't have it.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, man.
Would that lead to an increase in the force then? Would you have to do that in order to relieve some of those burdens?
Well, no, the detectives, no. We don't need to hire any more detectives. We have more than enough detectives. With the forensic science side of it, it may come to that. That would be later on down the line. We would do this in stages. So as far as relieving them of the forensic science duties, I have to see exactly how many forensic science technicians they have before we put that in place. But that will be later on down the line. But as far as the detectives go, that's something that could occur right away because we already have detectives in place. We just need to assign them those particular cases which the patrol officers would handle.
Let's talk about your potential staff. Jamila Smith has a question. You mentioned diversity as an issue within the sheriff's office. What's going on with that before we talk about the strategies you propose?
Well, the sheriff's office currently is approximately, and we're not talking about the law enforcement side, not the correction side, but the law enforcement side of it, which is approximately 315 officers, maybe around there. 23% minority, okay? And the command staff, which is the rank of captain and above, those are handpicked by the sheriff. That's the sheriff's executive command staff, which he handpicks. You can't take a test to become an executive command staff. You have to be nominated by the sheriff. Rank of captain and above, there are no minorities at all. There haven't been any minorities in the past 8 years that he's been sheriff. Okay. When I first announced I was running, there were no minority lieutenants in the sheriff's office. None. Now, since I've announced it, I put it out there, we now have 2 African American lieutenants. In the entire sheriff's office, we only have 5 female African Americans. 5. Out of those 5, 2 of them were inherited under the previous administration under Sheriff Rex Coffey. So since Troy Berry has been the sheriff, we've only hired 3 African American females. That's a diversity issue in a county which is probably 60% minority and growing. And, when you hear all the problems that we have with law enforcement and minority communities, one of the complaints that they say is that, the police, they can't relate to us. They don't look like us. They can't identify with us. So we have to try to find a way to change those numbers. And it's an issue. It is a real issue.
So Derek Terry has a couple questions here. Oh, actually one. He says, "Do you know percentage? What the percentage was before Barry got in office as far as minority employment in the sheriff's office?"
As the numbers know, I know in the command staff he had two.
Mm-hmm.
He had a major and he had a captain. And the first week he got in office, he demoted them both. He demoted the major to the rank of captain and the captain to the rank of lieutenant, and that knocked him out of the command staff.
Any idea why?
I have no idea.
Here's something you have to
It was in the first week. Yeah,
first week or two?
First week got him out of there.
It was in January when he took office. Yeah.
And within the first week or 2 weeks, he demoted.
He demoted the two minorities he had.
So, I mean, Derek raises a interesting question, something that people, black community, all sorts of communities too, as well. See, Pascal said she doesn't like the word minority. I understand where you're coming from too, as well. Not minority in as far as who we are as a people, but as far as numbers itself. But I get where you're coming from. I mean, of course, communities like Waldorf, you want to have cops that look like the people that they're representing too, as well. Yeah. Like it's, I completely understand that. Let's get into some more of these questions here too, as well. Jamila, any stats on the number of officers who are multilingual?
Maybe 2 that I know of. And that's all
in the command staff.
Oh, within the command staff?
No, none. Because you said there weren't many. Okay.
That I know of. I can't say whether members of the command staff knows how to speak.
I think Jamila's just on officers in general. Yeah. Cleared it up for us. I think someone just officers in general. Leftwich, sound like he cleaned house. Black doesn't mean you're right for the job. True.
Yeah, that's true.
That's absolutely true too, as well. Yeah. But at the same time, as long as he's been in, there's not somebody that's been qualified for the job. I mean, who's to say? I haven't had my eyes on the sheriff's office the past couple of years, up and down with the politics of it. What do you think, Dev?
I get what he's implying, but I don't agree with that assertion at all. Like, of course, anybody could be bad for the job. I mean, we've seen a lot of examples of people of all races not adhering to the ethics and codes that they're supposed to be upholding. So, like Ricky said, I find it hard to believe that in the amount of time that you've been in office, you haven't brought on any. There hasn't been anyone qualified of, minority or, whatever terminology is comfortable to you. I don't agree with that at all. It begs the question, is there not people qualified enough? Or are they just not applying? Could that also be a thing? Could it be that black people aren't applying to be a sheriff's officer because of the stigma around police and sheriffs? And could that also be a thing?
Well, there are challenges with hiring right now across the board. I mean, with all races, people just do not want to be and get law enforcement anymore because of all the bad publicity that it's had.
Oh yeah.
But you got to figure you got to look at it like this. When the community is asking you, why don't you have any minorities on your command staff, you as the sheriff have the ability, if you wanted to bring somebody in from the outside. He does have that authority just to kind of, bring new blood into the agency. And he does have that ability if you wanted to. I just find it hard to believe that in 8 years you can't find one person of color to sit on your command staff. In this community, I don't know. It seems to be a problem for me and a lot of people.
Yeah,
a lot of people.
And you're not the only one that's mentioned it too, as well.
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. Pascal, do we have currently have regular bias training for officers?
You will have to understand. I am not a member of the Charles County Sheriff's Office, so a lot of the training, I'm just getting information from the members that they give to me. So I really can't tell you what exact type of training that they receive as far as bias goes and diversity training. I would hope that they do. I really would. I mean, that's essential in today's society. You know, you should be receiving diversity training across the board for all members of the agency, in the corrections side as well as the law enforcement side of the department. In today's society, I'm assuming, and I can't, say for sure, that all police departments are going with some sort of, diversity training now.
Are you okay? With that being said, Angus has a question too as well. Have you got information about the police accountability board process?
Well, that's a whole other story. You know, that right now, when Sheriff Berry first took office, one of his promises was that he was going to have a police accountability board. That was 8 years ago, and we've yet to have one. But now the state delegates have mandated all law enforcement agencies have a body-worn camera program and a police accountability board by 2025. So the county commissioners are currently interviewing for the police accountability board to get citizens to involved in that. I'm not sure when it's going to be up and running. And as of right now, Charles County Sheriff's Office does not have body-worn cameras. La Plata Police Department has them. St. Mary's County has them. Prince George's County has them. We do not.
Are you for cameras on bodies?
Absolutely. It's surprising because, the body-worn camera program has become really popular among all police departments around 2016. That's when police departments really started going to them. And the sheriff has almost $100 million budget, and he's actually returned money back to the county commissioners. And under his numbers, he says it only costs $1.6 million to get the program up and running. Why don't we have body-worn cameras in Charles County? I mean, $1.6 million. You have almost $100 million budget. Why is it we don't have body-worn cameras in Charles County when all of our neighbors do? St. Mary's, La Plata, PG. It's just an issue, and it brings transparency. It brings accountability. The police accountability board is going to be great because it's going to give the citizens a chance to, feel they have someone to go to if they feel that someone in the sheriff's office has done them wrong. The police body cameras are going to help the officers just as much as they help the citizens, because oftentimes police officers have false reports filed against them. And I'm going to tell you all a quick story.
Please do.
Back 2016, when MPD first went to the body-worn camera program, a citizen filed a complaint against an officer, and she had 3 written statements in her complaint. And she filed this complaint with the city council members, the mayor, chief of police, sent it to the news. Her story was that she was pulled over by an officer who was a white male, and the officer was very nasty to her and, told her if she didn't shut the F up, he was going to snatch her out the car window by her nappy weave.
Ooh.
Okay. And of course that, when that complaint went through, bells and sirens went off. And the first question Internal Affairs asked was, well, does he have a body-worn camera on? Because at the time, some people had them, some people were having issues with it. He did. And it showed him pull a car over. As soon as he got out the car, you heard this woman cussing and screaming, calling him every name under the sun. He was very professional. This officer was in his probationary period, which means that normally when an officer is hired, they have 18 months, 6 months in the academy, a year on the street. And, then at the end of the 18 months, they're reevaluated if they're going to retain that person or not. So within the 18 months, if you screw up, you could be terminated. Mm-hmm. The officer was very professional. And when we looked at the body-worn camera footage, there was not one person in that car with her. She fabricated all those statements when she wrote that complaint. The officer didn't say anything such thing to her. And if it had not been for that body-worn camera, he would have lost his job. So it protects the officers just as much as it protects the citizens. So it's invaluable. It's transparency and it's accountability. And in today's society, I don't see anybody would not want to have a body-worn camera program in their agency.
So, and I agree with that too as well. I'm all for the body on camera. You said it works both ways too as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
officer could have lost his job.
Could have.
Could have. So, Let's Michael Leftwich. I know your grass ain't getting cut now, Derek. Hey, Derek. That's funny. All right, so Derek Terry's a question. He said a statement. He said the commissioners were not fully funding the cameras. He also mentioned earlier too as well that that they passed the buck on to the delegates to actually pass that. So CSSO wants 100% operable cameras for every deputy, including projected increases in deputies. So he's saying it's more of a finance issue with above the sheriff's office, why that hasn't taken place yet.
Well, it's $1.6 million to fund the program.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you have a $100 million budget and you return money, to the county commissioners, I don't see why you can't cut $1.6 million out for such a program that's so important. It's an important tool to give your people, and it's going to help with community relations.
Yeah, and that's true too as well. And August says they're still dragging their feet. They had the funding, so yeah. I mean, you want it done.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously August is running too as well. She wants it done, so the people for it. How the officers feel about it? Have you talked to? Are they all for it?
Most of them. I mean, it's some people kind of feel kind of leery about it, like they're being watched. But if you're out there treating every member of Charles County the way you'd want a member of your family treated, you're treated with respect, dignity, and you're doing things by the book, you shouldn't have any problem with being recorded. If you're not doing anything wrong, it should be an issue. It shouldn't be an issue. Most officers welcome it. It's just that we don't have them.
Got it. So. Zach, I've seen this is the second time you typed that. I saw it the first time too as well. Question for you. He's got a court case question for you. Castle Rock versus Gonzalez. Are you familiar with that?
No, refresh my memory.
Are you familiar?
Mm-mm. Yeah, I was curious too.
Casella versus Hughes.
I don't know. What is it in relation to?
Zach, give us more information. I'm not up to date on that either. I'm not sure. Let's all right. So we talked about crime. You mentioned crime in Charles County is on the up.
Right.
What kind of crime? What are you seeing out there? What are you hearing? What does stats show?
Increase in violent crime, gun offenses. We have daytime shootings. Homicides are up. Robberies, basic quality of life crimes. People getting their cars broken into in the neighborhoods.
Petty
things
crimes
like
up,
that.
yeah.
People are just fed up with it. And I just feel that if we had more officers in the neighborhoods patrolling, that might help curb some of the crime. Officers being visible in the community.
So you said homicides are up?
Well, from last year to the year before, it's been a steady rise in homicides. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. What are some things let's talk about the petty crimes. What are some things that, and you mentioned policing in neighborhoods, but is that your solution to that?
Well, it's a lot of issues. We have a lot of people are addicted to narcotics in this county. We have drug problems. All right, they're breaking into people's cars. Trying to get money for drugs, petty thefts, things like that. And it's just a matter of we need to work with the Department of Health for drug treatment, and because it's like when you talk about drug possession, you locking somebody up for possession of narcotics. They're not selling it, but just straight up just possession of it. You send them off to court. They get a trial date, whatever. They may or may not sit in jail for a few weeks, whatever. What have you done for that person? What have you done to help their quality of life? You're just sending them back out on the street. So a lot of times people get probation. They get to do community service. In lieu of jail time, why not have them do community service, okay, and do something for the community as far as like cleaning the streets, cleaning the schools, something positive, and they can help pay for them to get drug treatment. Because you're providing a service, because somebody has to pay for this, right? Mm-hmm. And it can't fall all on the taxpayers. So if a person is doing community service and they're going to a certain location several times a week and providing a service for the community, that can help with getting them some treatment. Because we got to start treating people for this illness. It's a disease. It's an illness, and locking them up, all we're doing is wasting time with the court system. Yes, some folks are going to have to go to jail, no doubt, for petty little drug possessions, but we have to think outside the box and get some treatment for these folks because it's just a vicious cycle. It's a vicious cycle. We talked about, being up on Martin Luther King Avenue back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Those folks wake up every morning and they want to get high or they want to get a bottle. And that's what they do every day, and that's their sole purpose in life. But there was nobody treating the issue. We have to learn, as a community, we have to come together and treat the problem. And we're not doing that.
So you see somebody that's addicted or high as hell, just walking around somewhere in Charles County. So your first instinct isn't to, hey, arrest this man. Your job,
Get him to the hospital.
Get him to the hospital, try to find,
right,
get him treatment after that. So after that, get to the hospital, everything checks out. What is your plan from there?
Well, what are we locking him up for? Just being high? I mean, that's really not going to solve the problem.
Mm-hmm.
He's high. Mm-hmm. Locking him up, putting him through the system, giving him a trial date. What good is that doing that person? Mm-hmm. And you're wasting tax dollars because someone has to prosecute all this. Mm-hmm. You got to. It's a vicious circle. And it's a vicious cycle that's no end in sight.
So essentially, if to summarize, your solution or one of your solutions to the rising crime is to kind of cut it off as early as possible by getting certain individuals or groups of people that are suffering from certain diseases such as mental health, get them the proper help. Now, that doesn't necessarily fall on you, but it is something that you're saying you will push for.
The county as a whole has to come together. We have many different county. We have Department of Health. We have this, different agencies, the sheriff's office, state's attorney's office, the judges. We need to come together and try to find do something different, not the old way of doing things, because it's just simply not working. We have to use other avenues besides arresting people. Sometimes you can't arrest your way out of these issues. If you have somebody who is just addicted to drugs, that's what they're going to do the moment they wake up, the moment they go to sleep. You got to find another way of helping that individual besides arresting them, because put them in a jail cell is not going to do any good. They're going to come right back out and do the same thing.
So the rehab process, you mentioned community service. Can you go a little bit more to that? I know if people have
it has to cost money to put a person through rehab. It's going to cost, somebody has to pay for it. If they're providing a service to the county is recouping that cost because they're providing a service there, whether it's cleaning the road, cleaning the streets, anything they could do to help the county out that the county would normally pay for, that would help with the cost. Because yes, we're going to have to go to the private sector and ask, we help fund this. We're going to have to think outside the box as far as funding it goes, but these people can help fund their own recovery. It's an out-of-the-box way of thinking, but we have to do something different. Locking them up is not working, clearly, because we got the same problem.
So funding over recovery, they'll definitely have to be clean at that point, too, as well.
Well, just like, instead of going to jail, you got to go through regular drug tests and things like that, and it's just another way of just trying to help. Because if you look at the cycle, locking them up doesn't do anything. When you lock them up, then you got to pay to feed them, to house them. You know what I'm saying? You got to take care of their medical needs because normally the health is a wreck. So the county pays for all that. The county pays for all that, and it's a big bill.
And that's obviously dependent on the crime that's that individual, or you said just drug offenses.
Just drug possession. I'm not talking about violent crime and selling, selling narcotics and all that. That's a whole different ballgame.
Right,
I'm just talking about simple old possession. You stop the guy and they got a bag of heroin in his pocket. You know what I mean? Simple possession. We need to look at other ways.
Julie had a really good question right there too as well. That's part of the agenda. There's a few things we're going to clean up here. Left which I appreciate. Rick and Devin get to it. Hey, we definitely will. We definitely will.
Of course.
So there's a few things we'll clean up before we get into more so the school side of your platform too as well. Mm-hmm. You had some issues with deleting and blocking people off of Facebook pages. You mentioned trolls. That's something that you've seen a lot of as far as your campaign goes?
Yeah, I have people that, like I said, we were talking before, citizens accuse me of having something to do with the raising of the flag, the Confederate flag at the Plata High School, saying that I had something to do with that so that it would start a race war in Charles County. All hell would break loose. The National Guard would have to come in the sheriff's office wouldn't be able to handle it. It would make Sheriff Berry look weak, and I could be the next sheriff.
It's
People,
elaborate plan.
yeah, exactly. I mean,
Comic villain.
people have called my wife names on the campaign page. It was said that I was one particular candidate had filed a restraining order against a famous blogger here in Charles County that basically trolls everybody's page who runs for office, and said that I coerced him into filing a stay away order against this individual, which I had absolutely nothing to do with. This stupid stuff. So when they start that in the first thing in the morning, and into the evening, I'm cutting you off. I'm not putting it on my page because it's nonsense. If you want to ask me a question or whatever, fine. But when you start with absolute nonsense, lies, I'm not dealing with that. That's not what my page is for. Put that on your page. You can say what you want to say on your page, but my page is for the voters to ask me questions, to hear my platform, not to deal with a bunch of nonsense.
I'm all for it. Hell, I got no problem with it at all. New Age campaign, Facebook. I mean, social media.
That's why they got block on there for. You block people.
It's a different playground.
Yeah.
So this is what Zach, he got a little bit further into his question too as well. The Supreme Court cases that make police officers not be required to intervene.
Not be required to intervene.
Intervene or interview?
It says intervene. I got my glasses off too as well. Now,
I said earlier, he said something about there it is. Qualified immunity and duty to act. It's a little bit further up.
This way or down? I'm sorry. I apologize.
Right there.
Well, I mean, we have, I know in D.C. it's called failure to take action by a police officer. If you see something occur in your presence and you don't take action, you can be criminally charged for that. Mm-hmm. That's what they're looking at as far as those officers in Texas. People have talked about that. They didn't go in there to help those kids. You took an oath. You're being paid by the county that you work for, the state or the city or whatever, to do a job. You fail to do that job, there should be consequences for that. Mm-hmm. And that's something that a lot of jurisdictions have looked at. It's been on the books for a while in most places, but failure to take action by a police officer, people's lives are on the line. You took an oath to handle that position, do that job, but you don't do it. There have been people charged for that. There have been, and it's Texas is a prime example. I don't know where they're going to go with that. People say it's training. I don't know. I mean, that really bothered me because those kids, they were on the phone calling 911, and they said the officers were standing in the hallway. They could hear the officers in the hallway, and they didn't go in.
Yeah, that whole situation's sad.
That's a horrible, heartbreaking situation.
Yeah, we're gonna get into some of that too as well here shortly. Marijuana, what's your thoughts on it?
Legalize it.
Come on now.
There you go. Carlos.
That was
Carlos, wasn't it?
That was Carlos, Ricky. My man down the street too as well. That's
straight to the point, baby.
It makes no point locking people up for marijuana. It's for what? And alcohol is more dangerous than marijuana. You never heard of anybody overdosing on marijuana, but people overdose on alcohol every day.
This is true. Pascal, can we all agree that Matt Miller was going crazy on Facebook? We were talking about him earlier.
We were
before
talking
that pre-production. I don't know who his social media team is, but they need to hit me up. All right. Before I get to Julie's question, let me scroll. Okay, Zach Ball. He's a follow-up question to that. Those court cases have been used as a precedent to get officers out of trouble in similar situations. As far as intervening.
To get them out of trouble? I don't know. I mean, I don't see how failure to intervene. I mean, that is something which I don't know what the Supreme Court has decided that that's the way we're going to go from now on. That's a whole different story. I don't know which each jurisdiction is going to. What do you say about bowling?
Oh, that's something else.
Oh,
right there.
okay. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Julie.
Yeah, it's about that time. I'm sure there's anything else we want to clean up. I'll go back if need be. There's a few things I'll go back. I know we talk about mental health too as well. I'll get back to that too as well. I want to touch on the school situation. All right, Julie, how do you feel about the two children, two different high schools that brought replica guns into schools today? I'm not familiar with that, Julie. What schools are this? We need to know this.
La Plata High School. A child bought a replica 9mm to school.
La Plata High School off the chain right now.
Yeah.
I didn't hear about that. I've been out and about all day too as well.
And it said middle school bought bags of marijuana edibles. Now you're talking about middle school kids. Benjamin started as a middle school. We need to talk to the parents. Where did this child get this edible marijuana? Oftentimes we don't hold the parents accountable. You got edible marijuana. Where did this child get this? He bought it from home. We need to talk to the parents. The parents should be held accountable for a lot of these kids doing the things that they're doing, bringing edible marijuana and candy to school. Who's being held accountable? You going to hold a middle school child accountable for that, or the parents? I think the parents should be held accountable.
We're starting to see
schooling provided to the kid.
Right. I mean, of course. Lunch lady's not back there whipping up pot brownies.
The kid hopped on the school bus from home and got to school. So he didn't, say, bus driver, hold it for a minute, let me go over here and buy this bag of edible marijuana and the dude selling on the corner. No, he got it from home. So we need to look at the parents.
What about the guns at school?
That's a serious issue. And, this is what scares me. And I know that, nobody wants to talk about having metal detectors in schools, okay? That's something that in Charles County is nowhere near ready for, all right? And that's something that would really tear this county apart even talking about it. But how many of these guns have we gotten in these schools? It's like once a week. What's going to happen when some child has been bullied through elementary school, middle school, and then in high school, and decides they've had enough? Because the school administrators often don't want to touch bullying. What's going to happen when that child says, I'm going to handle this myself, and brings a gun to school and handles it? It's happened other places. We've had school shootings before when the child was just tormented and bullied, and they brought a gun to school. What are we going to do to protect our kids? The Charles County Public Schools do a good job of keeping our kids safe. I mean, the director of school security is a retired Charles County sheriff, lieutenant. And I have no complaints about the level of security in the schools. You walk to the school, you're buzzed in. But let me say this, and let me get the numbers for you real quick. We talk about schools. 26,768 students. You have 7 high schools, 8 middle schools, and 22 elementary schools. Only 18 SROs cover all those schools, right? 18. 7 of those high schools have SROs currently assigned to them, so they never leave the school. The rest of the schools, the officers, they rove. Like an SRO may have 2 or 3 schools they bounce in between. Elementary schools, middle schools. So you may have 2 or 3 schools assigned to it. What about us putting up another layer of protection in the Charles County Public Schools? Now, if you go in courthouses, you'll see security officers, court security officers. They wear the blue blazers, gray slacks, white shirt, and a tie. Most of those individuals are retired police officers, okay, and they're armed. Now, people have a thing with police officers being armed in the schools. I think in today's society, we kind of need to have somebody in there with a firearm to protect our kids. But what if we had those individuals in the schools as well as another layer of security? Because once you get let into a school, like an elementary school, the school administrator, the secretary might let you in, then you're in the building. Who is there to protect the kids if you're in it to try to do harm?
I mean, all you do is show ID to most of these schools, and
you're in.
And you're in.
So why not have a trained security officer there who is not in a military-looking uniform or in a blazer and a gray jacket or whatever, a blue blazer, gray slacks, in school security, and have a school security team to help with these elementary schools and these middle schools and these high schools to assist the SROs, because the SROs can't be in every building. You can't put 37 police officers in one of these schools. It'd be nice. I would love to do that, but you can't. But this way you have another level of protection. And it would be funded by the Charles County School Board as well as the Charles County Sheriff's Office and the MOU that we have with the Charles County School Board. And they're going to be seasonal employees, so they're going to be off in the summertime. So you're not employing them all year round. Some of them you can for summer school, or if you want to have them help out with some summer programs like night basketball, things that we could start for the kids, the night basketball league. But these are going to be retired individuals who have already been through the training. So you don't have to start them from scratch. They've already received law enforcement training. They know about, active shooter training. All you have to do is have minimal classes to refresh them. Of course, it'll be age appropriate. I don't want nobody 65, 70 years old being school security. But I think that would be a good program to start. And the Charles County Public Schools has the largest budget in the county. Second is the Sheriff's Office. I think that between those two agencies, we should be able to scrounge together enough money to put together a school security team to help protecting our children.
I'm reading some of these comments too as well. I mean, look, the path we're on, shit ain't working. Straight up.
No.
There's going to be another school shooting. There's going to be more dead kids. Something has to change. I mean, obviously, the path that we're currently on just isn't working. It isn't.
You know.
So, I mean, new ideas such as that, and I know it's not unique to you. You're the first person that ever said this, but there has to be some kind of presence there.
Mm-hmm. The trajectory we're on is already.
Unless you want more Sandy Hooks and the situation in Texas. And I see Zach's comment too as well. They had it in Texas. There's a lot of things behind the scenes that they jacked up there too as well.
That whole investigation is going to continuously come into light. There was a lot of things that went wrong at that.
A whole lot.
So that's all coming out here. They could have had a lot. They had a lot of things in Texas, but it's all starting to come out what was actually going wrong and how preventable that possibly was.
Yeah, I mean, even myself, I don't live too far from my kid's school. Everything pop off. Do I just telework more? That way I can drive up there within a few minutes, ready to go because there's nothing there that this school has to stop anyone from just walking in there. Driver's license or a library card.
Who you here for? Name Rand the kid.
Yeah, I'm here for Joe.
Yeah, and that's it?
Yeah.
Cool.
Or I know a teacher's name is there. And I walk in the building. So something does have to change.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I just think that'd be another layer of protection, and it's going to cost. But, I mean, I think our kids are worth it. Because right now, we see where things are going. Like you said, it's not working. So we got to do something different.
Yeah. What do you think, Dev?
Just real quick for people that don't know, what is an SRO? Like the
School resource officer.
Okay, that way, in case anyone didn't know what an SRO was. Look, as you said, the trajectory that we're on right now we've clearly just had a horrible example. Something has to change. I think overall, this community and the people of it obviously just want to know that if you come in, that you have a plan to keep not just children, but obviously that's the most polarized thing right now. Keep children safe, but keep the community safe, the schools safe, the environment. I think as long as you have a plan that is feasible and enactable, I think that will offer some sort of solace. People want to see things being done versus a lot of lip service.
Exactly.
If you can, I don't know how much you can guarantee, but if you can guarantee that there will be a change, a seeable, tangible change in the way that we police our children, I think that goes a long way as far as easing those fears. And that's really what people just want to know.
But, the things that I'm bringing up, the ideas I'm bringing up are not new. They're just new to Charles County. And a lot of folks down here just don't want to see change. And the county is changing. The dynamics are changing. But like I said before, we're talking about a light rail coming down here. This is not the sleepy old Charles County it was 30 years ago. The county has changed. And, we have to deal with that. We have to accept that and be able to, the sheriff's office has to be able to change with it. We can't use the same game plan that we used back in 1990 today. Totally different world.
Yeah, and I do. I mean, obviously more people coming in.
Yeah.
Things change. It's a new. This isn't the '80s. I mean, it's a new era out
Yeah.
there. It's a new group of people doing a bunch of wildness, and also some good too as well. But you know, you gotta just adapt with the time. So I do understand what you're saying. Let's get some of these comments too as well. SROs provide false sense of security. Look at Texas and Parkland. SROs. What kind of sidearm we're talking about with the SRO?
Well, the school resource officer, they have regular 9mm like every other police officer does.
Okay.
I mean, look. I mean, are we better off taking them out?
I can't see their presence being a bad thing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know what the alternative. Okay,
But
this
you
may
take
not
them out,
always
then what?
successful, but I'd rather have one in place than have somebody just not there.
So you take an SR out, that's the one level of protection that you had, right? You take them out, then what? What are we going to do? Please don't say give guns to teachers. Okay?
Would you do that?
No. Because if you're going to give a gun to a teacher, is that teacher going to be able to go through the training necessary? Are they going to be able to go through active shooter training? Are they going to be, I mean, it's a lot with that. You know, the police officer, the SRO has been through that training. That's what they do for a living. They qualify with that weapon on a regular basis. They have training. That's what they do. Let the SRO do their job. Police officers protect. Let them protect. Let the teachers teach.
I mean, I'm looking at this as far as like Pascal's comment. I mean, what is the alternative there as far as SROs? It's either keep them, get more, or don't have them. That's.
I mean,
And I think Derek Terry had it right here. You can't stop school shootings, but you can try to contain it. And you're not taking away guns from people. That's just not going to work. So it's either you boost the program.
You know, Calvert County a couple years ago had a shooting. A high school student, I think it was Calvert or St. Mary's, one of them. Guy went into school and started shooting, and our SRO was the one that confronted him in the hallway and stopped it. It was right down here in Calvert County. I think it's a mistake because who is going to be the first level of defense in our schools?
So is that a program that the sheriff office could like look to implement through you all as far as like the hiring and training of SROs and monitoring their status, and then kind of obviously it's separate from the sheriffs and the deputies.
Well, no. Now we talk about SROs. When I mentioned the blue blazers and the gray slacks, those are the school security. SROs are school resource officers, which are Charles County Sheriff's officers. They are employees of the Sheriff's Department. They wear the brown uniforms.
Okay, got you.
School security is something totally different, right? Those were when I started talking about folks who we could utilize, who will be retired. The same as a court security, same level, just different positions, just different job titles, but basically doing the same job. They're not there to get into disciplining the kids. They're there strictly for one purpose and one purpose only: securing that building. They're not getting into children acting up. Same as the SROs, the regular. They're not there for that, and that's a big problem we have. A lot of times, school administrators use the SROs inappropriately. If Derek Larsen's in class in the 10th grade and he cusses out his teacher, is that a reason to call the SRO to come to the class?
Oh, hell no.
But it's done, right? 2 elementary school kids get into a fight in the cafeteria because one of them busted in line. Do you need an SRO for that? No, you don't. Handle that. I can remember being in high school, 2 guys would fight, and the school administrators would break it up. We had a school resource officer back in the day. He never even got involved in that. You sent him home. You know, it's just that they start using the SROs inappropriately, and then you start asking a police officer to become a school administrator, and that's where things go south.
Let's get some of these comments too as well. Pascal, have SRO. All right, so Pascal, have SROs protect the building safety, but also have counselors help with behavioral issues. Sure, there's no reason to do both.
Yeah.
We definitely have counselors help more with that too as well. They're already overloaded as well, but counselors, you can introduce more counselors to the school. Also, you have more SROs. You can fight a battle on 2 fronts at the same time.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Derek Terry, something I agree with him with. No guns to teachers. They are military law enforcement. Look at that, common ground.
Thank you, Derek.
Yeah.
And Michael asked, what's your thought on citizens having guns, not in school, just in general?
Well, I mean, as long as, as long as people, you have, okay, let me say this. To get a firearm in Maryland, you have to, just to possess it, you have to go through a background check. You have to get fingerprinted. Then you have to pass a class. We need to have an extensive background check. The right to bear arms is in the Constitution, but if someone is a psychopath, they shouldn't have a gun. Extensive background checks. But you can just walk into any gun store and walk out with a rifle or a shotgun. That's backwards. They should have the same stringent rules for buying a rifle or a shotgun that you do for a handgun. But I'm all for the people's right to bear arms. Now, when you start talking about, automatic weapons and things like that, that's when the issues come about. Mm-hmm. But if somebody wants to possess a firearm in their home, I feel they have the right to, as long as we've done extensive background check, we've done our homework. Red flag law. If something comes around and this person is now becoming a danger to himself or others, the police should be able to do an investigation, go in there, find out what's going on with that person, and then remove the firearms from the house until we have a court hearing to keep everybody safe. But yes, I'm for the possession of firearms in the home.
So to expand on that, Leftwich says they already have background checks on long guns as far as the rifles go.
Well, yes, they don't do extensive. Like, you have to do, when you apply for a handgun, you have to wait 10 days before you can get it.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what I mean? But I mean, the backgrounds are not that extensive. They don't go really deep into your background. You're talking about giving somebody something that can potentially end lives. It should be taken a little more seriously than it does, and it's not. It's not.
I can say that from my experience, when I was in North Carolina, this is my first time purchasing a gun, going to a gun show, and I literally, and I know we're talking about Charles County in North Carolina, but what I'm getting at is the accessibility, which is what I believe you're hinting at. Mm-hmm. I literally walked in there, gave them my ID at the door, went inside the show. By the time I purchased everything, came back out, my background check and everything was done. And I was probably in there for maybe 2 hours. And I mean, to your point, if it's that easy or if it's not that extensive, that they don't go that deep into the backgrounds, I mean, you could potentially just have anyone walking into these stores grabbing something because, hey, what's a 20-minute or an hour-long background check just to grab something, real quick, versus, like you said, a 10-day process where I don't know if that's across the board, but I do believe that there is something a little bit more that needs to be done to kind of prevent this type of stuff from happening. A little bit more stringent, guidance on that. Something. I don't know, but...
And let's be honest. The people who are committing the crimes with these guns they're not buying them themselves. They're getting the guns illegal. You got ghost guns, things like that. So they're not going through the process to buy the weapon like you would. They're getting the guns off the street, and that's a whole other issue.
Let's read some of these more of these comments too as well. As far as extensive background checks, I mean, you want to see a really extensive background check, you can look at Japan's gun laws. That's super extensive. I think it's a little bit too much personally, but
yeah, I think there's overboard and there's just being thorough.
But there's some super very extensive country background checks. But they also have their schools getting shot up and kids dying at the age of 7. So what Dave Chappelle said it best: modern problems require modern solutions. So
facts.
Yeah,
it's the world. This is the world, the culture we live in. So there's certain things that we have to do here. Checking kindergarten grades. Hell, why not? Why not Leftwich?
Go back to him, man. What kind of student was he?
No, you failed PA in 3rd grade. I'm sorry. You can't have a gun.
Yeah, but obviously what we're dealing with here is, I think someone said, it's an epidemic. So
Yeah,
I mean,
it's in everyone right now is trying to find solutions. Everybody is just trying to figure out what we can do. No one has the answer. It's just it is an epidemic.
I was in the Magna program. We got to watch out. We got to do some research on you.
Yeah, we got to fact check that.
BNY
Mike.
investigators. So Zach Ball, running for school board too as well. Also a friend of the podcast as
Facts,
well.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My issue with a lot of these physical barriers and metal detectors is that they are very expensive and provide a false sense of security. Thoughts on that?
Well, let me say this: if you have your school locked up tight, as far as like all your entrances are locked when it comes time for people to get into the building, they have to pass through the metal detector.
Mm-hmm.
They have to pass through the metal detector. The kids might not bring the gun to school knowing they have to pass through the metal detector. It's a deterrent. No, it's not 100%. No, but if I'm planning on bringing a gun to school, but I know I have to walk through this metal detector, and like I say, I know that the idea of metal detectors in Charles County makes people's blood just curdle. But if we were to go that route, in the high schools at least, it's going to be a deterrent to bring knives, firearms into the building. Nothing is 100%. Nothing's 100%, but it would be a deterrent.
Yeah, and that's the thing too as well. Like, do I like talking about this? Obviously, no one here does, but I mean, it has to be. I mean, Leftwich said it best. Like, it has to at least be something. Like you said, a deterrent. Like someone that just, I'm not going to do that. They're going to know they'll see it before I can do anything.
When was the last time you heard of a mass shooting inside an inner city high school? You don't. You know why? They're metal detectors.
That's true. Yeah, I'm for it. I mean, that is true. That's a good point.
I mean, I never even thought of that.
It's out
But
here
it's
in
true.
rural areas, like in Texas, like the suburbs out there in Connecticut, and Charles County. This fits the mold, right? We fit the mold.
And
That's not inaccurate. Like,
no, it's not. So, I mean, obviously having these conversations is something that needs to be taken very seriously. And obviously, if you're not for the metal detector, I'm just curious
it's an idea.
what the alternative is.
I'm just throwing ideas out there, it's an option.
Sean, I'm from Chicago, never seen one. It's a little bit, yeah. So, yeah, that's absolutely right. So before we get into some other questions here, I'm going to scroll back up to us. Well, talk to me more about your platform as far as what can you do as your sheriff for Charles County?
Well, like I said before, I want to get back to the whole, offering the patrol officers more time to go out there and actually do their job, patrol. I want to see that done. Okay, I think that them getting into the neighborhoods, interacting with citizens, is going to help having that presence in the neighborhood to reduce the quality of life crime. Mm-hmm. Right? There's no reason why you should come outside your house and find that your car has been broken into. It's and that's an epidemic. I want to look at activities for the youth. I want to work with Parks and Recs, and I want to work with the schools to give our kids something to do. You look at these humongous housing developments that we have here in Charles County with 400 and 500 single-family homes and townhomes, mm-hmm. and all they have in the center of it is a gazebo with a man-made lake. Young people are moving to Charles County with children. This is not a place people are coming to retire. Young people are coming here. They're going to have kids. Those kids are going to be teenagers. What do you expect for them to do in the neighborhood during the summer? There's not many activities. There's no night basketball. There's nothing for them to do that interests them. Not every kid's an athlete. What about having video game tournaments, things like that we can cooperate with the schools, sheriff's office, and Parks and Recs? Everybody putting their heads together and coming up with some solutions to give our young people something to do. They don't have anything to do, and teenagers are going to get into mischief. They just are. And I think we're not catering to the needs of our young people. Yes, they have camps in the daytime, but what about activities for our young folks, our adolescents and our teenagers? It's lacking. It's lacking. They a lot of the neighborhoods have taken down the basketball courts. They don't like them in the neighborhoods because they say it attracts the wrong type of people. Well, at least where all the kids are in the neighborhood if they're at the basketball court. If you develop a video game league, you could have kids going and playing in tournaments, something to occupy their mind. You just don't have that. And that's a problem for me.
Look, you said a video game tournament. What's the age limit on that?
I mean,
Keep me out of trouble.
Hey, for real, y'all need a mentor.
like, no, you're 24. You can't come in here and play with the teenagers. So, we got to do something, man. We have to do something because our kids have nothing to do.
And the thing, I think you hit it best. We said it a lot too as well, that if you don't have, something to fill the space, you're going to try to find other things just to do too as well. Carlos, you had a question earlier. I'm not going back up to find it. Ask it again too as well. But yeah, if we have something else you'll be out here, doing dirt with your friends, or a bunch of just up to nonsense.
Right.
So yeah, having a lot of these activities, already in place or just things there, and everybody's not going to take advantage of that, but some will.
Yeah. Some will.
Yeah, and that's a lot. So
think about it like this: a kid can be out there playing basketball, getting a basketball league, or whatever the case may be. A high school coach might see him and say, hey, you know what, why don't you come play for me? He got some skills. Build that kid up. He goes on to college, gets a scholarship. You never know. You never know what kid that can help.
I like that. I'm going to read some of these questions too as well.
Mm-hmm.
Zach Ball. Okay. All right, we'll clean this up too as well. Zach, I think we better suit investing in the school's budgets and expanding counseling and intervention programs. So I told Pascal, you can do both at the same time.
Yeah.
You can do that and also fight against the worst day scenario. There's nothing wrong with that. August to preach, we need more recreational facilities, summer jobs. Jamila, the western part of the county is hungry for activities and resources. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can solve or you can address the issue before it becomes an issue.
Right.
Before it becomes the sheriff's office issue to deal with. We can mitigate that.
There are so many agencies that can help with this. Parks and Recs, the schools. We have the facilities inside the schools. You got gyms in there. Go into the private sector. Ask them for, donations. People would love to be able to help the kids. Jobs. I mean, the problem we have is that in Charles County, it's we don't have a lot of businesses here. So to start a summer job program, it's mostly going to be working in the retail field. You know what I mean? As far as restaurants or clothing or things like that. So we have to do something to help these kids do something during the summertime, occupy their minds, because right now we're failing them. We just are.
Julie Brown, I talked to Lackey students. Talk to students at Lackey. Biggest complaint: there's nothing for them to do. Got the new basketball court at Bensville Park, District 2. Jamila, more basketball courts are coming, which is good. Scroll down. Carl's going to get to you in a second. Scroll down. You need an administrative assistant for your questions now. Leftwich, you are volunteering for a job, man. Come on now. Derek Terry dropping a link as far as community. We'll click on it here in a second from the sheriff's office. Okay, let's go to. Let's see. Yep, coming down to Indian Head. Yeah, Bryant's Road, Nangemoy, and Pomoka. We have no outlet for these kids. I mean, you got different rec leagues that you can get a part of too as well, but you're talking like something that, and it's not every kid's an athlete, so
No, you
just like something for them to like go to and do. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's how you help a lot of stuff too as well. We talk a lot of things, school shootings and fights, all the other stuff we talked about. But if you get these kids doing a productive outlet, ain't nothing else for them to any type of dirt they can get involved in. So, all right, Carlos, I'm coming back to your question. All right. So this was a little bit earlier, too, as well. Do you support a mandatory duty to intervene, making police intervene if they see another officer using excessive force?
Absolutely. They're witnessing a crime in progress, so you need to take action.
And if it's another officer using excessive force?
Absolutely. That's a crime.
There it is.
Yeah. You beating somebody up, you assaulting them, you're violating their civil rights, that's a crime. Absolutely.
There it is.
Simple, to the point.
All right, so Charles County Sheriff's Office, what is your overseeing plan for that? 4 years.
I want to, right now, the relationship between the Charles County Sheriff's Office and the citizens of Charles County, it's not good, it's not bad, it's non-existent. Okay, there's just no connect with the actual neighborhood. I want to have the officers partner with the community, interacting with them on a regular basis, community meetings, things like that, patrol. I want to see more involvement. I want to see our officers in the neighborhoods. I want to see a more diverse sheriff's office. I want to see us police this county in the year 2022, not 1982. Okay, we need to step our game up the way we do things. I want to just bring us into the current times. I want us prepare this county for the future, what's coming. You know, the county is growing, and we need to be ready to grow with it. So I just want to improve the morale of the sheriff's office, because right now it's bad. It's bad. So I want the officers to, you know, feel that they have support of their sheriff.
Do you feel is that they told you?
They don't feel they have the support of the sheriff. No, they don't. They just feel that he's a politician and he's separated himself from the agency altogether. And he's out there taking pictures and politicking, but he's not dealing with the issues within the department. The officers want to see their sheriff go to roll call and talk to them. They want to see their sheriff, when they're making a traffic stop, pull up on the traffic stop and just make sure they're okay. And they don't feel that they have that now. And that's bad, because that affects how they police the community. You ask any law enforcement officer, they'll tell you the stress is not on the street, worrying about what's going to happen to you on the street. It's in the building before they leave out to go on the street. And any police officer will tell you that. And I just feel that we can do so much better when it comes to the citizens and how they're treated.
Yeah, and that's one thing that we've talked about a lot on this podcast, is just transparency. You know, just be able to reach out and talk. Like there's a bunch of candidates in here too as well. We had this conversation, just, you know, reaching out. We can have a conversation. I feel like I can call you and the problem be alleviated. At least send an email, you get back to me. You know, you do town halls, not, you know, once every 2 or 3 years. The people could see you out in public at different events, you know, shopping and eating at local restaurants, just talking and being ingrained in your community. You
know, the sheriff had a crime initiative at the American Legion, I think it was last month. And the only agency that was there besides the Charles County Sheriff's Office was the Maryland Transportation Authority, the police that patrol down by the bridge, by the 301, the nice bridge there, right? You're having a crime kickoff. Where was the Decatur Police Department? Where was the Maryland State Police? Where was the state's attorney? The sheriff has basically put himself on an island, and he's not interacting with any other agencies. There's so many agencies that can help. Talk about mental health. You should be working with the Department of Mental Health to try to create some type of a response team to go out there and deal with people when they have a mental health crisis. There's so many different things that you can do, so many agencies. Department of Recs dealing with these kids. The schools. You know, let's not put everything on the sheriff. Let's utilize some of our other government agencies, come together and collaborate. You know, working together. And right now, we just don't have that.
Are you saying that none of these people were there, these departments?
No, just the Maryland Transportation Authority. You're going to have a crime kickoff. You don't have a Plater there. The Plater is in your county. You don't have Maryland State. You don't have the state's attorney's office who prosecutes all these cases. That's a crime kickoff. And different agencies that can help. And they weren't there. And it's just, you know, it's unfortunate.
Leftwich, you're saying otherwise, that these individuals were there. Go more into that. I'm gonna go to Carlos and Jamila too as well. Yeah, but Leftwich, expand on that. What's your thoughts on deputies and Plater officers doing a Make Waldorf Great Again event?
That was ridiculous. That was I think it was state police. I thought it was the Maryland State Police that did that with the Waldorf when they were targeting people and they had coins, challenge coins and things like that up. That was, you know, targeting certain people. No. That's racial profiling. that can't stand.
Agree with that. Expand more with this event too as well. I didn't know. Make Waldorf great again.
What?
Yeah.
It was some little group they had, and they decided they were all going to get together and clean up Waldorf by, targeting certain races of people, and they had to be African American.
Wow.
Are those deputies and officers still working?
I have no idea. I don't know where that investigation led to.
Carlos, you can find some more information on that. Please do. Leftwich, he wasn't. Who's he? Are we talking about Derek here? Give me some information. Give me something tangible I can read. That sounds good on audio too, as well for playback. Derek Terry, how do you know Barry isn't doing this? Do you have proof, documentation, or why they weren't there?
Why? Who wasn't there?
That was as far as the kickoff. I think it's what Derek.
Members of the Charles County Sheriff's Office told me Barry was there, but there was no representation for the Maryland State Police or the PLATA or the State's Attorney's Office.
Talk to me more about your mental health crisis team.
Well, I do know that the county commissioners are trying to get this kicked off, but that is crucial. That is crucial, and that is going to be what I would like to see happen. Is when a person calls 911 and says, "Look, my aunt is here. She hasn't taken her medication. Mm-hmm. She's sitting in a chair. She's mumbling to herself. Blah 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 blah." Oftentimes, what happens is the sheriff's office comes. Why? They're not psychologists. They can't really do much for the person but take them to the hospital. Why can't we have a team of people on call to be able to respond to that, right? With the fire department, okay, to transport the person to the hospital, and have a member of the sheriff's office sitting outside in case things go south. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes, when you put a police officer in that situation, the person tenses up. They're having a problem, but they know what a police officer is. They know handcuffs. They know a gun. It agitates the situation. Why can't we just have police officers in assist mode and send folks in to deal with the problem? Certain things police officers should not be dealing with. Now, if you're talking about a violent person wielding a knife or whatever, that's a whole different story. But a lot of people that have mental health issues are not violent. So why are we involving law enforcement? Why not have the people there that can actually help them? The Department of Mental Health, Department of Health can be able to assist them. I just think that makes more sense, having a mobile response unit to be able to go out there and deal with that than having a police officer go.
What do you think, Dev?
I have been an advocate of that ever since it was a few years ago. There was a guy, he had one of his charges was a young man had mental health issues, and he was actually present for the young man. I believe he was just sitting in the street. The guy had a knife in his hand, but he was just sitting in the middle of the street. Officers arrived, guns drawn. The guy was like, no, it's one of my charges, one of my patients. Just let me deal with them. He kind of came over there, talked the guy down, and the officers were still kind of like really aggressive, and they got aggressive with the counselor. And he, you remember this? He was literally like laying on the ground with his hands up, like. And they fired off an accidental round, and it struck the guy like under his underarm. He survived, but he was like, "Why were there even guns present or drawn if I'm there? I'm telling you, this is my patient. I'm his counselor. I'm dealing with him, and you all still had the presence of mind to continue with the guns drawn over a knife." And I was already de-escalating the situation, and I think that just goes to your point. Officers come in, and I'm not saying it's always the case, but you sometimes there is that gung-ho mentality when it comes to these situations, because they're not always the best or trained at de-escalation when it comes to mental health.
Right.
And there needs to be an entity, an agency that deals with that. So I'm in full support of something like that in the community, because you can't have one way of addressing every issue. It's asinine. You can't,
Right.
you can't solve every problem when it comes to crime and mental health when there's so many different avenues. If there's a drug-related issue, why not have drug counselors and a drug response team that can come there and kind of start with the detox process to get them hydrated as mental health. Someone that knows the person or that works within the community that can talk them down. I mean, there's so many different things to just send in, you know what I'm saying, our officers out there with just guns and just saying, hey, address this issue, and all they know is what they're being told over the dispatch.
Right.
And I mean, a lot of times they're going in blind, and so you can't always fault them, but that's what they're trained to do.
You know, they have crisis intervention training, and not every member of the sheriff's office receive that training. I would see that everybody receives it, you know, but it's probably like 40 hours of training. You know, you can't send somebody in to deal with an issue with 40 hours of training compared to somebody with 8 years of higher education, okay, to deal with that. It's not, there's no comparison. And this is when it comes to Charles County moving forward. I believe somebody said in there that when you dial 911 in Prince George's County, you have the option of asking for somebody from mental health to respond. And that is absolutely true. They do. And that's the way it should be. Charles County needs to move forward. We need to start looking toward, because we're going to have problems like other jurisdictions have, and we need to be ready for it. And mental health is a serious issue which has not been dealt with properly. The sheriff's office should not be the first line of the first person that you contact when somebody is passive and just sitting in the corner and they haven't taken their medication. You should be having another way of dealing with that person, giving that person help.
Laura Kelly brings up a point here too as well, as far as de-escalation, and I'm gonna get some of these other comments here too as well. But this kind of goes with here as far as mental health issues or not. But de-escalation should always be the default to begin with. What so can you talk to us about some de-escalation tactics that you've used over the years too as well?
Just, you know, when you go into a situation and a person is hostile, aggravated, whatever, just slow down. Just slow down and talk to them, listen to them. You know, it's not always, I'm the police, I'm coming in here, it's going to be my way or the highway. No. Listen to them. Let them calm down. Let them know they're a human and you respect them, and listen to what they have to say. You know, and that goes not just with mental health, but when you're dealing with people on the street. Often people are going to be agitated when they see the police come, but you can't take that personally. You know, I mean, a lot of times the people are cussing at the uniform and what it represents. They're not cussing at the person, but you just need to sit down and listen to people and hear them out. And it works. It works. It's just, you know, having some empathy, just trying to listen to their side of every story. Everyone has a side of the story they want to tell. Let them tell it. It's not costing you anything. Just let them tell it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for that too as well. Obviously, cop shows up. You know, you don't want to, you know, situation's already on edge to begin with. So if someone walks in, cool voice, able to control the room, that goes a long way. Then, oh shit, grab my gun. That just escalates everything.
Right.
And then, you know, somebody's not going home that night. So.
And you also got to keep these officers accountable as well. I mean, pretty sure people want to know your stance as far as disciplining. I mean, you clearly say you would prosecute. Like, it's a crime if an officer, you know, watches another officer commit a crime, they don't intervene. But also on a lower end of the spectrum, like, what do you say, or how will you address the complaints and the community may have against certain officers for misconduct or treatment, like as far as like your investigation, internal affairs? Like, will you be as hard on your officers as you are on crime?
Well, I believe that officers should be held to a certain standard. Okay, you took an oath. You took an oath to protect this community. We should all be held to a certain standard. I believe in progressive discipline. I believe in training. You know, if somebody violates one of the departmental orders, the first thing should not be to chop their head off. All right, oftentimes what you need is training, you know, additional training. There's one thing I want to make sure that everybody understands. The Charles County Sheriff's Office needs to come to the year 2022. So a lot of their tactics that they're using as far as interacting with folks may or may not be be suitable to some members of the community because of diversity, lack of diversity. You know, we talk about this all the time with the agency. And I just feel that when you are dealing with members of the public, you have to hold yourself to a higher standard. You can't resort to things that the community is saying or doing. You have to be able to step above that. And we all, if we are not held accountable as law enforcement officers, the community is not going to trust us. That's why we have the body-worn camera, to protect the officers as well as the citizens, and this complete police review board. You know, I'm not going to say necessarily be hard as far as chopping their heads off. No, that's not going to do anything but make people disgruntled. I believe in progressive discipline. If you have to discipline an officer, if that's what it comes to, you start at the lowest level and you move your way up the ladder. If they keep the performance up, then you progressively have to increase the discipline, but that's when you start talking about training. A lot of times when officers do things wrong, it's because of lack of training. And that is an issue. And that's when you talk about de-escalation. De-escalation is crucial when it comes to dealing with the public. Crucial. And I just being fair across the board. I believe as far as the FOP goes, I am going to work with them. I want to have regular meetings with the FOP to hear the concerns of the officers. And I'm also going to be able to listen to the concerns of the citizens, so we can come to common ground. But I want every member of the Charles County Sheriff's Office to feel that I have their best interests at heart, and I want every member of every citizen of Charles County to know that I have their best interests at heart as well, and we need to come together. We have a lot of repairing to do when it comes to relationship between law enforcement and the community. A lot. And that starts with transparency, accountability, training, and also getting the officers back into the community, developing a relationship with the citizens. And that's lost. And a lot of it is lack of understanding on both sides. So we need to get back to that.
We got some good comments here, too, as well. All right, so Derek Terry asks, just number, how many CCSOs have shot suspect out of anger or bad training?
You have to ask the sheriff that. I don't know.
I haven't heard a lot of that either.
Yeah, I don't know.
Derek, you have a number on that. Let us know too as well. I haven't heard much on that front, at least here in Charles County. It's been pretty quiet, pretty clean on that one.
Yeah,
too as well. 0. There it is. I haven't heard anything.
Yeah.
So obviously, whatever's going on right now with that, it's working. Yeah. Gotta get credit where credit's due.
Absolutely.
Mr. Leftwich, how you doing tonight? All right, so anyways, reading the comments. Obviously, you have a couple of voters you haven't sold or not a fan of you,
right,
as far as that too as well.
Oh yeah,
it's an election. It happens. All right.
Of course.
As far as in his question here, this is a legitimate one. He said that still, through his whole podcast, he hasn't heard anything as far as a legitimate reform or action plan that can really correct the issues you see here in Charles County. So, and if anyone out there that's down to your platform too as well, I'll give you the time to actually put it out there and sell individuals on it.
Well, like I said before, in order to solve the crime problems that we have, and that's the main issue that I hear from the citizens, is crime. The officers of the Charles County Sheriff's Office must be allotted time to go and do their job. Patrol officers must be allowed to patrol. Right now, they're not patrolling. If you have a crime problem in the neighborhood, like I'm going to give you a prime example. When an officers have MDTs in their cars, mobile data terminals, right? They use that to run tags. They use that to, run people's names, things like that. The one thing they don't have access to is crime maps. So if they come in your neighborhood right here and they have a large area to cover, they do not have access to the crime in your neighborhood, what's going on in the past 48 to 72 hours. What I want to be able to do, and it's not very hard to get because the county sheriff's office already has these statistics. All they got to do is put the app in the car so they can pull it up. have them be able to know what they're looking for in the neighborhood, be able to go into the neighborhood and address the issues of that particular community. That's going to help to reduce the crime because you know what you're looking for. Focused law enforcement, not just riding around for the sake of burning up gas, but going into a community and knowing what you're looking for when you go in that community. Developing relationships with the people in that community. Regular community meetings. We have many homeowners association meetings, things like that. We have sergeants and lieutenants that could be attending those meetings with the officers, going out there and exchanging information with the community. We have to develop a rapport. There's no way you're going to be able to to combat crime unless you have rapport with the citizens whom you are working for. And we just don't have that right now. That is going to help reduce crime, a partnership with the members of the sheriff's office and the community. We have a serious problem with narcotics in this county, all right? And yes, there's a narcotics task force with the DEA and the FBI, but you may have, I don't know, maybe 2 officers from the sheriff's office that deal with that, and they are regional. So they're in Virginia, they're in Prince George's County, they're in D.C., they're everywhere. So by the time they get here, I mean, we're small potatoes. I would like to develop a task force right here in Charles County working with the other law enforcement agencies along with the state's attorney's office and work on combating our drug problem. But not just going out with the jump outs and slamming people on the ground. I'm talking about narcotics investigations to deal with the drug trade in this county because it is a problem. With drugs comes guns. So it's hand in hand. I would like to see a more diverse agency. I want to try to find out exactly why is it in 8 years we haven't had minorities on the sheriff's office. Maybe we need to start looking at promoting below the rank of lieutenant. Look at sergeants. How many sergeants have the skill set to be able to be on the command staff? There are some minorities who are sergeants on the sheriff's office. If I have to, which I might even look outside the agency to promote, to bring somebody in. It's kind of funny because the rumor was if I got elected sheriff, I was going to fire the whole command staff and bring in a bunch of African Americans from D.C. here. And that's totally absurd. That is not the case at all. Okay, that would be totally reckless. I don't plan to fire or demote anybody. I know when I come in office, people are going to leave. They're not going to like a new sheriff coming in, and they're going to resign. They're going to retire. They're going to do other things, and I will try to find suitable replacements. And I want the best qualified people to working for the agency, but I want them to be community oriented. I want them to be able to listen to the members of the community to find out what their concerns are. We just don't have that. I want to work with other agencies within the county government to be able to deal with some of the problems we have and not just put it all in the sheriff's office. We talk about mental health. That should not be a sheriff's office situation alone. That should be other partners in there. Dealing with our youth. I want to see programs helping our youth to be able to find something to do, summer jobs, activities for them that's going to interest them. I just want to bring us into the future. Body-worn cameras are a top priority for me. We should have had body-worn cameras years ago, and we need that.
There it is. In the last part, too, as well. I'm all for that, as we mentioned. Let's get some of these comments as well. Stats, numbers. Where you getting your sources from?
Uniform Crime Report, FBI. It's on the line.
And you can
see it.
Look specific to Charles County. It gives you that.
Every police department submits yearly crime stats to the Uniform Crime Reporting System through the FBI, and it's tallied. And, you can just talk to the citizens. If you have had a bunch of break-ins in your neighborhood, and, your neighbor's house been broken into, if it's 2 or 3 people on your block, you don't feel safe. That's a concern for you and your community.
So Terry brings up something, too, as well. And this number is verified. The solving rate is 90% or greater as far as Charles County goes. So is
solvability rate?
Yes.
Yeah, well, they have excellent detectives in Charles County Sheriff's Office. My key is for the crime not to be committed in the first place. Try to reduce that. So the solvability factors, the detectives are awesome. I have nothing bad to say about the detectives on the Charles County Sheriff's Office. My goal is to reduce the number of crimes that actually have occurred so that they don't have to worry about solving them. Reducing crime. You can't eliminate crime. I want to reduce it.
And that's done through your plan of getting more officers in the community too as well.
If crimes are being committed in a certain neighborhood, the officers should be there to be able to deal with that crime. You know, often having citizens informed as to what's going on in the neighborhood, letting them know that, hey, this is what's working, this is going on in your neighborhood. You have a problem with cars getting broken into at night. They're going to be able to do what they have to do to protect their property, to protect their house, informing them of what's going on. So they'll know to lock their doors or put their car in the garage or not leave valuables in their vehicles. Educating the citizens as to what's happening in their community is a big step, because most people in this county, like I did for 17 years, I leave out in the morning, go to work, go to D.C., PG, Virginia, wherever, come back home. I don't know what's going on in the neighborhood. I really don't care as long as I haven't been personally affected by crime. So it's, you know, it's and that's the way it is. It's a middle class, upper middle class community. It's a working community. So people leave out to go to work every day. Yes, some folks work from home, but for the most part, you see how traffic is on 301 and 210 in the mornings. People leaving out here to go to work. So they don't know what's going on in their community. And I think with podcasting like this we're doing here, Zoom meetings, letting the people know what's going on in the community will help educate them so they will know what's going on and they can do what they have to do to protect themselves.
Dad, what you think? What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I just have to. That's the answer, or that's his answer. I should say, and I respect it for what it is. I think I'm just based off the comment section. I think people are looking for a little bit more detail as far as your action plan goes. Like they want to hear something solid, and I'm getting the feeling that not a lot of people are getting that from your answers. Like they want more definitive answer as far as a plan goes.
Well, we talk about drugs and guns. Task force, right? Charles County Sheriff's Office teaming up with Maryland State Police, the Plata Police Department, the Maryland Transportation Authority, developing a task force to do criminal investigations as far as drugs, narcotics coming into the county, who's distributing the drugs, working with the state's attorney's office because they are key. We have a lot of these violent crimes that you see with shootings and homicides are drug related, and that needs to be dealt with. The system we have now working with the DA and the FBI is fine, but that's a regional. I want something that's going to cater strictly to Charles County, right? Working with them as far as dealing with the problems we have it here at home, not in Prince George's, not in D.C., not in Virginia, not in Baltimore, but here. And that is something which is needed. And we just don't have that. Again, you know, I just feel that freeing up our patrol officers and their focus, instead of worrying about a backlog of cases they have to investigate, let them patrol. Let them do their job. It's patrol officer. That's their title. And I just feel that having them in the neighborhoods would help. So, and community policing is the answer. And I have done this in public housing. I have done this in very affluent neighborhoods in D.C., and it works. It's the one thing that works. Heavy-handed policing does not work. Okay, that does not do anything but clog up the criminal justice system and upset a lot of people. Being lackadaisical does not help, okay? But having the citizens involved in their own community helps. It helps. And we need to do something different. We need to.
So are you saying that you're trying to create a new task force, or there's not a task force in place now?
Well, they have a drug task force in the Charles County Sheriff's Office, but I want to incorporate, just for manpower purposes, using the resources of the state police, La Plata, and the state's attorney's office, all this coming together and working collaboratively as a unit to combat this problem. I mean, you know, two heads are better than one. And I just want to work with the other neighboring agencies to be able to combat this problem.
And that's not going on now.
No.
So there is a task force, but you're talking about one.
Well, they
a
have
collective,
they have an FBI DEA task force, right? And I think 2 members of the Charles County Sheriff's Office work that, but it's regional, so they dealing with everything in the region. What I want to do is create a task force strictly for Charles County with Maryland State, Charles County Sheriffs, La Plata, and Maryland Transportation Authority. All right, working with them to create our own to deal with strictly Charles County issues. All those agencies working strictly in Charles County, working with the state's attorney's office. And, it's just, I want to develop a relationship with the other government agencies to help us out with this problem. And we don't have that right now. The NAACP, it's not a very good relationship with the current sheriff. And that's sad. And they have concerns which needs to be addressed. And I want to work with them on that. We this basically laying the cards out on the table, being transparent. This is what we're going to do collaboratively to help work on some of the problems that we have in our county.
I had a question from earlier too as well. Pascal, how you doing? She asked, what are a few differences in philosophy between you and Sheriff Berry?
Sheriff Berry, first of all, let me just say this. This campaign, when I started running, is nothing personal, and I in no way am attacking Sheriff Berry. But Sheriff Berry was born and raised in St. Mary's County. His whole entire police career has been spent here in Charles County. He's used to dealing with St. Mary's County, Charles County issues. We're not dealing with Baltimore and D.C. issues here in Charles County. So we need to have somebody with a different outlook on it that's experienced what we're dealing with now and is willing to take the sheriff's office forward. Sheriff Berry, he is disconnected from his officers. And we need to get back to the officers feeling that the sheriff has a relationship with them, that they can talk to them. And right now we just don't have that. Now, that might be Sheriff Berry's management style. I don't know. But I'm one that likes to work side by side with my people. Even though, I may have had particular ranks, sergeant, lieutenant, captain, whatever. I always want to have a relationship with my officers and let them know that they can come to me and they feel that I have their best interests at heart. I also value a strong relationship with the community. That is important. A law enforcement agency cannot operate unless there's a working relationship with the citizens that it serves. And that's just the difference. I know, Sheriff Berry is great with the community as far as taking pictures and going to events and things like that. But the officers in the sheriff's department just have a disconnect when it comes to actual neighborhood policing. There's a disconnect there.
So and I know what you mean too as well, as far as the Charles County, the landscape has changed. Yeah. Obviously, we had more individuals from D.C. moving to Charles County too as well. So this isn't the same as Charles County years ago, where things, these problems are more so unique and different than it was dealt with in the past. So, right. And you're saying since you being D.C. cop 30 years, you've seen a lot of these issues, and you're more suited to solve it than an individual who's seen nothing but Southern Maryland for the past 30, 40 years.
The game has changed over the past 30 years. It's not the same. Mm-hmm. And the sheriff's office needs to change with it. You just can't use the same crime plan and have it handed down from sheriff to sheriff to sheriff. It has to change. You have to look at your plan on a regular basis and reevaluate it. And the Charles County Sheriff's Office is still using the same game plan from decades ago, and it's no longer effective.
What game plan is that?
Well, let's go up on the highways, traffic, which is great. I'm not saying anything about traffic enforcement, but back when it was folks from D.C. and Prince George's County coming down here to commit these crimes, the best way to stop that was to be up on the main roads being visible, 301, 210. Basically intimidate anybody who's trying to come down here to commit crimes. The people who are committing the crimes now, live here in Charles County. They're not coming from Prince George's. They're not coming from D.C. So the officers need to be where the crimes are occurring. Yes, traffic enforcement is vital, and they've made some outstanding cases. When you see the overtime traffic units up on 301, they've made some outstanding cases on, as far as drugs and guns and things like that. But we need to focus on where the crime is occurring, and that's in the neighborhoods. That's in the neighborhoods. That's where people are. That's where people are hurting right now. In some of our neighborhoods, people are truly, truly hurting as far as crime goes, and they want some relief.
Terry, you said that's not true. Which part? Which part are you talking about? Laura Kelly, police union, who are they supporting? Have they thrown their weight behind a candidate yet?
Oh, I don't know. I have a debate with them on July the 7th. I don't know.
Oh, that's 2 days. That's the day of, I believe, early
I
voting.
mean, June 7th. Sorry, June 7th.
Okay.
Next week.
Yeah, there you go. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I don't know.
Crime, they come from all over. So that's what he's saying. He said mostly that,
okay.
yeah, individuals that come and do crime in Charles County come from outside the county in versus they're just in the county.
Well, I'm saying people coming down here at 3 o'clock in the morning, let's go break in some houses. No. When you talk about burglaries and things like that, people that do that know the area. They don't travel too far. No, if you look at some of these housing developments, a bunch of dudes from D.C. are not going to come down here and try to go in some of these massive housing communities and try to break in people's cars, because you need a GPS to get out of it. They're huge. The people that are doing it are familiar with the area in which they're committing their crimes. And you look at some of these. Look at the Sheriff's County page. Some of the lockups they make. People live right here in Charles County. Then you don't see people coming from Washington D.C. to come down here. They're Charles County residents.
Which particular neighborhoods are the hottest ones as far as petty theft and crime?
I mean, in Waldorf, a lot of the housing developments around the mall are really getting hit hard. Some areas in the Plata, they're getting a lot of violent crime. They're getting drugs and things like that. So it's scattered all through the county, but you see the mostly densely populated areas in which you're talking about vehicle theft and breaking in vehicles, things like that. So it's just a problem which really needs to be addressed. And unfortunately, it's on the rise. It's on the rise.
I have a question. Charles County Police, hold on one second. Let me read his comment. That's not true. We've had crimes committed by folks from, yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, people commit crimes from, not everyone's from Charles County. I think you said that too as well.
Yeah.
It's public information, so. So Terry, he wants to know like the name of a neighborhood. Is specific that's being hit hard. I know you said around the mall.
It's all over. It's all over, pretty much all over in Waldorf. It's just we have people complaining about Dorchester. There's issues in there, and it's spread out throughout the entire area. And it's pockets here and there, and then it's people are just upset about it. You have cars getting broken into in the mall. People leave out to go on the bus rides up to D.C. and the bus route up there. I forgot the name of the bus. Mart's bus service. Mm-hmm. That they pick the folks up down there in Waldorf, and for a while they were breaking in folks' cars there in the mall in the parking lot there.
So people were parked at the mall and catching the bus service that takes them to
because they're going to be going all day.
Yeah.
So they know that.
Okay.
So they were targeting there.
Okay.
Petty crime is up in Charles County.
Yeah.
This isn't Baltimore. Bodies just dropping every single day, but yeah, things like that. That is on the rise.
Petty crime.
Yeah. Terry said he lives in the area.
The Dorchester area, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got something for later off the pot. Def, go ahead and give us a few things from here. Then we're going to start wrapping this up too as well. Thoughts on as far as you grew up here too as well. So from here to there.
Here being Maryland,
Yeah.
not Charles County.
What I mean, sorry, like compare this like PG County. I apologize.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's like we were saying earlier.
That's a whole different monster over there.
Yeah, look, man. I got out of PG County for 12 years when I was in the Air Force, and I came back because I just, first of all, I'm just DMV. I just love this area. It's madness. First of all, it's madness in Charles County, in PG County. And I think we were talking about it earlier. A lot of the people in the county, they have that the ostrich in the sand, the head in the sand mentality. If it's not affecting them, like the people down in Nanjamoy, and you know what I'm saying, they it's probably a lot less going on down there than it is in Waldorf.
Right.
So the mentality is, well, it don't affect me, so I'm just going to keep looking the other way. But as I was saying earlier, for the little bit of time that I did live here in Charles County, when I went to Westlake for like 2 years, I think it was. It was just, this was like 20 years ago. It wasn't even close to DC as far as the crime goes. Yeah. But I think when you have that mentality of looking the other way, eventually it's going to creep up on you, because what's happening with everything that's happening in DC as far as prices and cost of living going up. I mean, it's still not as expensive out here as it is there, even though the cost of living is going up here. But you get people moving from the city out here. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, the problems that those people bring are going to come to this area as well. And it's a lot more accessible to get here now. Growing up, it used to be like a flight. You was going to Waldorf, you wasn't coming back. You was staying the night out there because there wasn't no way you was driving to Waldorf and back. But I think we've made things so accessible that you do have these people that's coming out of this region, out of the county, and committing and potentially heading back and fleeing. And I mean, it's a lot to address, you know. So I can't imagine as the sheriff the amount of, you know, like your scope and what it is that you're potentially going to have to address. And this is just Charles County. I mean, I can only imagine PG County's issues and what they're all implementing and doing. Is that something, I do have a question. Is that something that you, if you become the sheriff of Charles County, would you reach out to other county sheriffs and their representatives? And if they, I mean, obviously we're successful, or Charles County is successful with a 90% solvability rate, but would you be willing to look at other implementations that other counties are doing in you know, in their respective jurisdictions to kind of implement some of that stuff over here on this side?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You know,
being flexible.
You talk about Prince George's County. I mean, you know, that they're dealing with, they've been dealing with their issues for a while now. You know what I mean? So that is somebody that is the sheriff, Melvin Hines there now. He's currently retiring, but the next sheriff of PG County, whoever that's going to be, I would definitely have a working relationship with them as well as Calvert, as well as St. Mary's. Definitely.
And yeah, that's something something I would hope so, that all the sheriffs. I mean, obviously they got the Sheriff's Association too as well, so that's something definitely you want to see going on there. All right, so here's my thing too as well, is that what I say about every candidate that walks on here, not one man or person is going to solve every single issue.
Yeah, it's a collective effort.
Yeah. It's the same thing we do with the commissioners too as well with any candidate, is that the same questions definitely have to be asked all around. Obviously, you have a debate next week too as well, with Sheriff Barry. Unfortunately, I won't be able to be there, or I would be there for that one. Yeah, you may be able to be there if you can.
The 7th.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to get caught up on PG County as far as that, but just I don't want to get caught up in that. But no, as far as everything that you can do here for Charles County, I mean, there's some ideas there that are pretty interesting. You know, obviously, the metal detectors in the school, there's some individuals that didn't like that, but the alternative is just not having them at all. So it's a different world we live in. You know, as far as that, there's petty crime on the rise. I would definitely, I mean, cops in neighborhoods, I see them like, oh, like, the hell's going on here? But at the same time, as the same cop has been, you see him over and over again, come out, shake your hand, dap you up. You see videos of cops playing basketball with the kids, things like that too as well. Like, I like seeing things like that. So I would like to see more of that here in Charles County. I like to see Charles County go viral, for, the new court we got at Bentonville, just things like that. So this is just more community involvement. I'm not saying it has to be that, but that's just an example. So I guess the big thing here is that, actually, I don't really think I have an overall point. I do appreciate your time, your ideas here too as well. Yeah. Of the things you're trying to do for Charles County. Obviously, 30 years DC cop. You've seen a lot of shit. Working that beat itself. So it's very interesting.
It's just some regional issues that
as things are evolving here in this county.
It's regional issues. Like you mentioned, working with other departments. I mean, chief of the PG Police Department is somebody that you should talk with. The PG County Sheriff, Calvert, St. Mary's, going over there into Virginia, dealing with King George. They have some, everybody just kind of collaborative effort dealing with this problem because it's everywhere. It's everywhere. But we have just seen an influx in our county. And it's. I just want to see it get any worse. I just don't.
Nobody does. Absolutely not. So
I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah. Let's go around the room. We got 17 people in here. I got some questions. Drop them before we bounce up out of here. Drop the FOP debate info again. If you could, Derek, one more time.
Yeah, at the FOP Lodge, Tuesday, June 7th. I don't have the exact address, but it's Lodge 24. And it's going to be open to the public at 6 p.m. On June the 7th. That's open to the public.
Anybody show up, go from there. Around the room, Dev, what you got for us?
If nobody else got any other questions popping up, I just want to say...
Amanda, I got you in a second.
What's that, Amanda?
Amanda.
Oh, Julie.
Yeah. Late June time frame. It'll be announced.
Okay. I just want to say, first of all, Mr. Larsen, Derek, appreciate, say you coming on the show and
I appreciate y'all.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate it just as much as you do. Just give you the opportunity to talk about your platform. Will it be online? I'm pretty sure it probably will.
Debate's gonna be online too as well. Zoom option.
I don't know. I don't know how the FP does that. I'm not sure.
We'll see. We'll get more information. We'll post it at BNY as we get it.
Absolutely. So just
it's on my page. So if you look, I advertise it on my page. So my campaign and my personal page. So you can click on that, and they might have more information about it being online. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay. When you get a chance, I'm try to throw the link to your page into the comment section. That way you guys can kind of check it out and see if you can figure it out. But again, just a much appreciation for you kind of coming on and gracing us with your presence, talking about your platform and how you plan to, contribute in reforming, Charles County as far as the crime and not just the crime, but overall and what your goals and plans are. So we really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Best of luck. Obviously we say that to all the candidates, but
I have a bad time. Hope the campaign dies after this. I'll never say that.
But no, so I definitely appreciate it. And I think it's one thing, as we've already kind of agreed, and people in the comment section, there is a rise that's happening, but I think everyone can appreciate a solid plan, new ideas, and new blood. Not just at your level, but all across, throughout the entire agency, just kind of all having the same goal and the mindset to address what's going on in this county and keeping the county safe and making it safer for everyone involved, especially the next generation. So I think people, if they have that, can have that faith and belief that's your best, that's your interest, you have that in mind for the community, then honestly that'll go a long way as far as addressing some of those fears. So I appreciate that much, and you being on here and talking about that and allowing the public to talk to you and question and addressing certain concerns and stuff. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and like how can I say this? There's always fans of people in the comment section. There's certain things we brought up here tonight. I would say even far back to the diversity thing. Like, it's been 8 years. And this man Barry couldn't find one individual, that was qualified. And this could be a story behind that. Who knows? But obviously, no one's really aware of it. So, I mean, there's more to the story to find out things like that. Vote for you, vote for it. I don't care. But one thing we like to do here is like give everybody at least a fair shot walking in. I don't want to walk in and like a police officer. You want a cop walking in with predetermined bias, treat you a certain way, and then next thing you know, who knows if you're going home or not. So I'll try to approach every single interview with the same mindset that I would like to be treated to as well. Your time's appreciated. I've seen your billboard all over the place, so it's finally good to get you in building too as well. So that's fantastic. Came in conversation with my wife too as well, so that was great. Got to see a little baby too as well. So
yeah, you got a beautiful family. Man.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Likewise. So wish you nothing but luck on your campaign.
Thanks.
Running for sheriff. I mean, it's a heavy toll.
Yeah,
that's a lot. And a lot of things you've been dealing with the campaign too as well. A lot of things as far as if you get the job, what you deal with. I mean, you got the whole almost 200,000 people in the that you're responsible for. Schools you're responsible for. I mean, it's a big job. So even you stepping up to try taking on, it's something that can be applauded with any candidate. Stepping out their shell to get in front of the people and all the things that come with that. So definitely thank you for that.
When I get elected, I definitely want to be back on your show.
And that's something I appreciate too as well. You get the job, come on back. Yeah.
No doubt.
You have everything in front of you. At that point.
Right.
So there's nothing. There's no hiding. But the same thing with Sheriff Barry. Open invitation to come on the podcast. I would like the comment section. He's obviously sitting commissioner with sheriff. Mm-hmm. So his detail with things being on the job.
Absolutely
it's just different. It's like even when we have Sarah Proctor on here too as well versus Judge Brown. Judge Brown being the sitting judge, she's going to just have more information on judging. I don't know if that's even a word, but
it's definitely a word.
Yes, I'm not privy to a lot of information, regarding the sheriff's office. A lot of information I get from this individual is giving it to me. So some of the questions I just, cannot answer because I just don't know because I don't work for the sheriff's office.
Gotcha.
So.
Yeah, the same thing with the commissioner candidates that came on here too as well. Like some things you just don't know. I mean, it is what it is. Like I can't really answer, but it's all good. That's what you campaign for. That's where you get out about in front of the people.
That's it.
Take the question.
That's what it's all about.
Strange podcast. Derek Terry calling into as well. That was interesting.
A little different than the norm, but hey,
I knew that was coming. So I expected that.
Yeah. We all knew that one too as well.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
that was cool though. Derek had questions. You had questions. You had both handled like men. There was nobody screaming or yelling, all this other nonsense popping off.
No, this is about what's best for the county. This is not personal. None of this is personal. This is about, making life better for the residents of Charles County, and that's it. This is nothing personal at all.
Yeah, absolutely. I expect my phone to be going off after the podcast too as well.
Oh yeah, that's gonna happen.
Yeah, for sure. Now I'd love to be on the show one day. Come on back, baby.
Hey, come on back,
Nicole,
baby.
Nicole, thanks for being on the show, Mr. Larsen. Nicole, running for school board, District 3. Who else we got in here too as well? Laura Kelly, thank you for coming on tonight. Pascal, I appreciate these comments. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for everything. We were going to be on tomorrow originally.
Reschedule.
We had to reschedule. We had Deron Tross coming on for tomorrow, but that podcast had to be rescheduled until a later date. It's going to happen. It's in June.
Should be determined.
Yeah, I've been talking to Deron a lot recently too as well. Mm-hmm. So conversation's been good. It's been positive. He'll be on the podcast. Next week, there won't be a podcast. Unfortunately, work constraints won't allow it.
Yeah.
So we'll be back on June 13th.
The following week.
Yeah. Actually, that week, the 13th through the 17th, is be kind of busy. I rescheduled. It was me. It was me. It was me, people. All right. Look. It was me. All right.
Ready.
It was me. God damn it. All right. I'm the one with the smoking gun. Don't come after me. That was me. It was me. Okay. This time it was me. All right. So that's that. But we'll be back June 13th. That's I got to announce that podcast too as well.
Oh yeah.
We're working some things behind the scene with that one. So June 13th, expect us. Sarah Freeman Proctor, June 15th. That's already been announced too as well. Mm-hmm. And the week of the 20th. That's gonna be busy. We're gonna be kind of busy the rest of the month.
I see.
Yeah, we did 3 and 4 days. Season's over too for me
4
as
and
well.
6.
I mean, we can start cranking these things out at 6 o'clock.
Ooh, buddy, yeah.
We can go to Joe Rogan schedule one a day.
Crank it out.
Hey,
Boys working hard out here. Run us our donations.
Yes.
Umar Johnson.
Yeah. Hey, share the podcast. Like and subscribe.
Yeah, like, subscribe.
Yeah, but that's it for us for now. Derek, once again, thank you for coming on. Round of applause for you. Appreciate it.
Thank
Absolutely.
you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
Dev, once
Thank you for the questions. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that seat right there is fire. Over here, we just
Ain't much we got to do on this side.
Ron Burgundy. I'm just reading it.
That's on you.
Yeah.
We let them run it. Look, Pascal, donation link. It's coming, Pascal.
Donation link. Hey, come on now. Come on now. Hey, we're friends outside of here. I seen.
A little.
Hey.
Send a cash out request.
Hey, for $10 a day. You know what I mean?
You did.
Man, the soccer's over. Yeah. What Steve-O was. It's soon. Y'all need a Patreon. Coming soon.
Coming soon.
Yeah. Y'all enjoy the product. Had to build it up first. You know what I mean?
Had to make sure we had a solid little following. Make sure people will throw us a little, little donations here and there. And we seem to be getting it to that point. So it's definitely coming, Laura.
It's all part of the
Definitely
plan. All part of the plan. But
Trust
that's
the
us.
process.
This time, I'm gonna make sure that the intro music is playing properly too.
Hey, there
as well.
it is.
We actually give you a proper send off there, like everybody else. I ain't trying to treat you like just one of one. Charles County, appreciate y'all. We see y'all soon.
All right.
What's going on with you?
Yo, another day in the lab, baby. So it's always a good day.
Oh,
It's
shit.
always a good day when we in the lab. You want policing to be better in your communities? The best policing that you can that can happen in any community are people that's actually from the community and that.
Once again, Rick, host BNY podcast, now known as What Effing Week with BNY. Dev, how you feeling, man?
I'm in here.
What's good, comment section?
Here.
Do we drag our people down when sometimes they don't deserve it? For sure, absolutely. In this situation, this man deserves every single dragging that we can do because this is not an example of us.
But you got the angles. You got the knowledge of the game, bro.
This is where you're getting at, the IQ?
On it, down. Like he's telling you what's going on. How he was a bad husband. How he was just doing things his way. He's apologizing to his wife, like, yo.
Pat ourselves on the back for that one because if you ain't giving yourself awards, I mean, who is?
Yeah, no boy.
Hey.